with our start for the morning, or till the afternoon. Actually, I'm so excited. I forgot when part of the day it was. We have an elephant. That is amazing. We haven't seen them, or I haven't seen them in such a long time. This bodes very well for this afternoon's drive here on Djuma Game Reserve. So do jump on board, everybody, for your live safari through the African bush. Look at this magnificence. Beautiful. I actually came here just because we thought, let's just check out the den first thing in the afternoon, even though it is really warm today on Djuma Game Reserve. It's about 28 degrees Celsius, 27 degrees Celsius, 80 degrees Fahrenheit. And my name is TRISHALA, and I've got Marcel on camera with me. So I came to the den just hoping, even though it's that hot, and we found this lovely fellow. I could not be happier. I love elephants so much. And he's such a gentleman. Oh, stunning. Well, this is your live safari, so do communicate with us. Chat to us, ask us your questions using that hashtag WildEarth or @FC on the YouTube chat stream, as well as on our website. So you can go over to our website and register, and you can use our question box there. And also, you wonderful kiddies, haven't forgotten about you. You can email kidsquestions at wildearth.tv. And you can ask us anything you like about anything we see, even things we don't see. At this time of the year, when there's rainfall and the dams are full and pans are full, may not be terribly full, but there is water in them. That's when the animals that you expect to see at waterholes, you don't see them as frequently. You can't just sit at a waterhole and hope they'll come along, because they have all these other sources of water that they can go to. Little pans along the way and things like that. So we haven't been seeing many elephants lately here on Djuma Game Reserve. That makes me so happy. Sassy Cassie, you say that's a perfect way to start the drive. It certainly is. Oh, so happy. Look at those ears flapping. Trying to cool itself in this weather. But of course, we can't stop eating, because an animal this size constantly needs to be eating. Sometimes consuming and defecating at the same time, because who has time to separate those things when you're a 5-ton animal, 6-ton animal with a really big, huge male? Oh, obviously we can't off-road for elephants, so this is as best a view we're going to get. Oh, and this is very, very lucky. A hyena has come to the den. It's almost there. Oh, I'll let you know when it gets into frame. It's gone to the other side of the den. Can't see it anymore. Grand Yoda, hello, welcome aboard. Obviously, you're as excited to see this bull as I am. You'd like to know how old do I think this bull is? He's actually not very old. I would say he's probably in his mid-20s. is a little smaller than the biggest matriarch I've seen. The biggest female I've seen. I'm just going to position us a little bit closer where we normally are when we go to the den and see who this hyena was. That came past. It was not June. That would be nice if it was. That would be the most amazing start to the drive. Unexpectedly amazing start to the drive. And it has vanished. And so has our elephant. Well, at least this means there's still some activity going on even at this time of the day, even though it is quite warm, 27 degrees. Let's just take one final look around the other path we use, because it's a little bit shady on the other side of the mound. This is an exciting start, isn't it? I'm very excited. Here it is. Hello. You found yourself a patch of shade. Nice little patch of shade for this hyena to relax in. All right, well, Dan's got some amazing birds. Let's go over to say good afternoon to him and to see those hornbills.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to andBeyond in Ngala. Quite typically now, we did have a few ground hornbills that were messing around on the right-hand side, but they've kind of, in their duty of hunting and moving around this afternoon, they've kind of gone behind a bush. I'm really hoping to see if they don't pop out again. But anyway, good afternoon and welcome. I'm Dan. Behind camera, we've got BK this afternoon. And what I'm thinking, I've popped out into the eastern part of this reserve to start. Nice and beautiful open areas. Hopefully we're going to find some general game to start. I mean, the wildebeests are really going to be giving birth at the moment, and there are lots of little babies. Really hoping to see if we can find some of those. And then as it gets a little bit later, maybe try and see if we can find some lions as it starts to cool down. Let's see if we can't find those ground hornbills, or if they can kind of show themselves again. Let's see if we can reverse a tiny bit here. Let's see if that won't give us a better vantage point to have a look. There are a few in the distance there. Beaks, is that the right spot? Do you want to keep going? Not right. Let's see if we can quickly have a look at these ground hornbills. They are... Okay, Beaks says this is the spot. Let's... Oh, there's one. I wonder if these aren't even the same 5 that we saw yesterday afternoon. There's a nest that's not too far away from here. And we were talking yesterday about how endangered these birds are and how particular they are about their nesting. It's quite amazing to see them actually in a natural nest. I know lots of places around are actually building nests for these animals because they're so fussy and particular about the spots that they pick to try and encourage them to breed and reproduce. And because they only have one egg that'll survive every few years, people actually go in and try and take that second egg to encourage the development and the growth of this species. And it's been a fundamental success over the past few years. Many thanks to these areas who have been building these nests and taking the second chick that naturally would never survive and then reintroducing it into the wild. Oh, we still got them there. I mean, that red and the black is magnificent. Can you see them moving through the grass? They're moving quite quickly as well, which is making our job a little bit difficult, to trying to stay with them. Looking for all sorts of food. I mean, reptiles, small mammals, snakes. I mean, snakes will be definitely out this afternoon, warming up quite a lot after the rain that we've been having. Maybe trying to feed on some frogs and things. What I'm going to do, now that they've gone out of picture, I'm going to keep going though. Let's see if we can't find some of those wildebeest that I was talking about, or maybe some impalas in these beautiful open areas. It's a really good area for cheetah as well. I know Ngala is not particularly well known for its cheetah, and one of the reasons that is because of our high densities of lions and leopards and hyenas. And the cheetahs will try and avoid that because it puts them at risk. So let's keep going, check these open areas thoroughly before we continue towards the riverbed and try and see if we can find some lions for this afternoon. I'm really hoping that once it starts to cool down that we might find some lions in an area that will make it easier for us to move around and try and stick with them. But let's go and see if we can find some wildebeest to start off with. In the meantime, I'm going to send you somewhere else while I keep searching.
Well, we have got animals, Dan, that are cooling off indeed, in the form of a hippopotamus, and you'll probably hear them before you see them, but there are a fair few Egyptian geese at Ndlovu Dam this afternoon. Ooh, the wind is just starting to pick up, which is not so great. Well, it's not my favorite thing. My name is MCCURDY, and on camera with me today is Sebastian Rombi, and we are here at Prrivate Conservancy, which is part of Tswalu Game Reserve and the Greater Kruger National Park. But like I said, we've popped in at my favorite place. I was quite disappointed this morning because we drove past here, as we do on every single game drive, and our friend the hippopotamus was nowhere to be seen. But he's back. He was obviously just on a walkabout, or perhaps the buffet went on for a bit longer. Hey? Wouldn't you like an all-day buffet, Seb? I'm hungry. Anyways, I don't think that I would enjoy all the grass that a hippopotamus has to eat. I prefer something with a bit more sustenance. Oh, you didn't like that comment? Something just landed on his back. Did you see that? What was it? A fly? Or was it a dragonfly? I can't see what that was. Yeah, anyways, use a little resting place when you can. It's a bit difficult to see. There's quite a bit of a glare. So he has marched a massive area. Okay, I suppose it's not that far. So this morning while we were driving around looking for all sorts of animals, we came across a young male lion, which we'll go try to find again a little bit later. But I saw his tracks all the way down near Impala Plains, and that's almost on our northern boundary. So I don't know, and I don't think that there is another hippo moving around on here because we've checked the other watering holes. But he does do some serious traveling, and he always comes back to this dam. Although I'm sure that if he pops past Leopard Dam, he might stay there too. But for now, he is giving us the pleasure of living right outside the eco-training camp. Hello, boy. He's quite a comical fella. He's not too shy. He's coming out of his shell now. When we first saw him, and we pretended to be a rock with all the elephants that moved past him, which is a clever tactic. I shall try that when I'm out on a bushwalk and I'm feeling threatened. I'm just going to curl up into a ball. No, I'm just joking. I definitely won't be doing that. But he is quite playful, as I'm sure you have all seen. Now, it wasn't a very hot day today. It's been quite overcast and cool. So maybe the buffalo elephants will come on down, but off you go across to TRISHALA, one last hippo smile, who's playing with hyenas.
Ooh, elephants, TAYLA, you're speaking my language. Here, we've got Ribbon. She's just taking it easy, relaxing in the spot of shade at the den. No other activities. Cubs won't be out now. It's not their prime time of day. But it's nice to see her just chilling out. Sometimes you may wonder, what do hyenas do during the day when it's warm? Find a good spot and chill out. Reacquaint herself with the relaxed lifestyle of a carefree hyena that doesn't have cubs. Well, we're going to leave her be, and we are going to continue on. Maybe check out some of the dams. If there's something that you feel like checking out, why don't you head over to our website, and you can learn all about becoming a WildEarth explorer and all the exciting things that are going on at WildEarth and how you can be involved. Go to wildearth.tv/explorers. Thank you, Ribbon. We will be back later to see your newest addition to the clan. And I say yours because you are the matriarch. Goodbye. Oh, she moved her paw. So human-like to read into those type of things. So like TAYLA at Pridelands, I'm hoping that we can find some elephants at the waterholes. We're just doing the waterholes in the south today because we're pretty much focusing on this area. See what we can find. Ooh, Dan has now found some baboons. Truly entertaining. Why don't you go and see?
Welcome back. I'm really hoping that these baboons are truly entertaining, TAYLA, and I'm going to spend a few moments with them. As you say, they can be incredibly entertaining at times. Look at them walking through the clearings there. Well, I can only see 4 of them at the moment. I'm wondering if this isn't a small troop or if the rest aren't coming and following behind. We were talking about alates this morning. I wonder if these baboons aren't moving through this area, picking up on those termites that were erupting this morning, maybe looking for some lapwing eggs that might be in this open area here. You can see that one's looking a bit busy on the ground. Might have found a little spot with some food for it. Waiting to see if maybe another one doesn't join. This is a really good time for them to be actually taking it quite easy and grooming each other and reaffirming these social bonds. They can be incredibly cute to one another and pick insects off, or pests rather. Kind of reaffirming their social bonds. This looks like a tiny troop in here. This one just sitting. It's amazing how it can actually sit very similar to a human. Sit on its backside with its legs front, or forwards rather. There's one that's just climbed onto that log on the right-hand side. Let's see if we can't... Look how that tail kind of hangs off, scratching its leg. Very animated. I mean, I can't see... You'll probably find, I can't see it for now. There's probably a baboon that's sitting in one of the trees around, keeping a real good lookout over everybody else. Herman, how can I tell the age of these baboons? And probably the easiest way to answer your question is by looking at their sizes. The smaller ones being quite a bit younger, and they'll grow very quickly in the beginning. But as BK has pointed out, there is a baboon that's in the tree keeping a real good lookout. But Herman, by looking at the sizes, and I mean, they're quite far away from us here, but even from here you can kind of tell the differences probably between the sexes, between male and female, just by their size. The females often get these red backsides when they come in and out of estrus. But can you see how everyone on the floor is kind of looking quite calm and quite happy and content with doing what they're doing, picking up small little things, feeding, maybe on some fresh shoots that are coming through, because they've got the cover of that one up in the tree. He's keeping a real good lookout, and because it's so open, just the smallest little vantage point, even on the top of a little mound, will go an incredibly long way to keeping this troop safe. And they rely on one another to look out for danger and sound the alarm. And it's amazing, actually, if BK goes back to that tree quickly, the one did jump down and was kind of replaced by another one. You see how the one sitting a little bit lower in that first fork at the bottom? A bit lower there, Beak. It's sitting there. Can you see it there? So they kind of like have swapped out now. The one that was right at the top of the tree jumped out and was instantly replaced by someone to keep a real good lookout. And we were talking about cheetah loving open areas like this. One of the reasons that the cheetah does like open areas like this is not simply because it has the advantage of being the fastest land mammal, but also it has the advantage of being able to see quite a distance away and to be able to pick up on predators that are coming closer towards it. sitting on the top of mounds looking for predators and prey. So, I mean, that one up in the tree, keep a good luck. Whether it does see a cheetah or a leopard or a lion that's coming closer, it will sound the alarm to absolutely everyone. Even, I mean, a few birds, I don't know if you can hear it, there's some lapwings that are chasing these baboons. And that's because if those baboons do find one of their nests that might be around, the baboons will eat their eggs. Stop and have a seat. I wonder if they've been doing this for quite some time this afternoon and feeling a bit tired. Maybe it's just waiting for somebody else to come and walk past it and encourage it to keep going. Oh, there it goes. I love how their tails, kind of the first half of it is like straight up, and then the back half is kind of cooking fat. What is a baboon's main predator? And, I mean, we saw those baboons up in the tree. A baboon's main predator would be a leopard, I would say, and simply because a leopard is quite a good climber and can actually climb up into the trees, particularly in the evenings when they're sleeping and when a leopard's moving around, and may take them by surprise. However, lions are also an incredible threat to baboons if they get the chance. Lions are not quite as good climbers as leopards, so if a baboon is close to a tree, it can kind of just jump up there and evade the lion. Even when it's smaller baboons, birds of prey might come and take a baboon, but certainly their biggest threat would be that of a leopard. So it's amazing. I mean, we first initially saw 4 of them, and there must have been a whole lot more that were kind of just hanging around in the thicker bush, just waiting for the other ones to move around. Also potentially waiting for the ones up in the tree to kind of give the go-ahead and tell them that the coast is clear and that they aren't in danger. Is it a baby underneath the one? It's a bit far for me to see. But you'll see the moms actually carry the babies, particularly the newly born ones, right underneath their tummies, right close to the mom's teeth, so it's got a constant supply of milk. And so mom can hold them and move them around, particularly if they need to move quite quickly. It's quite amazing how some of them go, stop, keep a lookout, wait for the other ones to come past. One of them will climb up into the tree in the way that they're going and wait for the one at the back to kind of jump out of the tree and then join up, kind of take it in turns in little stages in their process of getting from point A to point B. They are super entertaining animals, particularly out here. You'll see they're super intelligent as well. Once they realize that people come with the benefit of potential food around camps and things, they can be a bit of a nuisance. Because of their intelligence, they will kind of wait for you to move out, or they realize that we are also animals of habit and put certain things in certain places, and they'll wait their turn and wait their opportunity to get even a small little snack or a small little meal. And once they get into a room or something, they can be incredibly destructive. But once they're out here and moving around, it's super entertaining, and it's amazing to see so many similar traits to that of a human. They look after themselves and each other very well. In the way they walk and sit, we mentioned that earlier, they sit just like people. Even sometimes when they shout, an alarm call can even sound a lot like a human's shout. Finding some good things to eat on the floor there, causing it to temporarily stop. I wonder what it is that they found over there, that they're kind of munching on. I wonder if there are not some new shoots. I mean, there's some real green, fresh grass, and in the wintertime, this area can look quite barren and almost a lot like a desert. I wonder if this baboon that's closest to us might even go and have a drink. There's a small little watering hole there. So I'm going to I'm going to keep going. I'm going to let these baboons continue on their merry way, and I might start making my way towards the watering hole, still hoping to find some wildebeest and some baby wildebeest.
I am at a watering hole and it's windy. The wind is really, really picked up and I'm sure you can hear it. But I wonder what other sounds we can hear at the dam, so let's have a bit of a quiet time here and listen out for the special sounds. Red-billed buffalo weavers, woodland kingfisher, multitude of starlings, hornbills, and of course the mighty wind. And a few chip 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 chips in the background of some waxbills and of some weavers. Well, that was windy and lovely.
Well, as you can see, it's a good start to our afternoon with the pack of dogs that are all very, very sleepy, which I'm not surprised about, given the chaos that ensued this morning and how far these guys ran all over the place. But before we start getting into the dynamics of the wild dogs and what happened this morning, my name is Tristan. On camera, I have Khat this afternoon, and it is a very warm welcome to all of you, to Djuma and to Rusty. The dogs, you can see, are having a bit of a nap. They are, like I say, tired from this morning. What happened this morning is I'm not 100% sure if it was another pack or if it was another predator, but there was some disturbance in amongst the pack that caused them to splinter all over the place, and they basically covered the entire property from one side to the other and split into big groupings, well, not big groupings, into small groupings, and were calling, and they ran around all over the place, and it took us a long time to find them again. Eventually Trish got them about an hour after we initially had them, and they then kind of rejoined and grouped up. But that amount of distance that they covered was quite extensive in a very short period of time, and so I'm sure they are quite tired, and that's why we're seeing them napping. It's also quite warm still. It's quite typical dogs to see them sleeping now and then they wake up a little bit late in the afternoon before they'll go off hunting. The reason why I came to them now rather than later this afternoon is purely because these dogs, unfortunately, are right up against our western boundary. And so when they wake up, I'm pretty sure the direction of travel that they're going to take, given the direction that they've been running the whole morning, will take them out of our area and into our neighbors, and we probably won't see them for very long. To give you an idea of how close the boundary is, we're probably about 200 meters, not even 150 meters from the boundary. And this is where they came in the other day. And so I'm pretty sure they're going to just exit the same way, and it will be a very, very quick exit once they decide to stand up. I don't think we're going to see them very active for long, so I thought it would be a good idea to come earlier. I know that they're not doing too much, but it's nice sometimes just to sit with the dogs rather than have absolute pandemonium like we had this morning. As much as it's nice to follow the dogs and it's exciting, it can be tricky, and you often end up doing more driving and seeing trees whizzing by than you actually see the animal itself, because keeping up with them, particularly in the terrain that we're in, it can be incredibly difficult. This morning they left us in their dust pretty quickly. It took them about 5 minutes to basically leave us. We tried valiantly to keep up, but it's just our cars cannot go as quickly as they can through these blocks and thickets. And also when they're running like that, and they don't kind of stay on the roads, they go through thickets and all kinds of other nonsense. So tricky, but we'll see what happens. You never know. Maybe they get up and maybe they travel a different direction, which would be nice. In the meantime, though, we're going to sit here and watch these guys and send you off to Kyle, who's looking at another sociable creature on his side.
Good afternoon, and what a wonderful afternoon it is. We have received rain early this morning, and we are back with you folks. What a fantastic afternoon it is. Very good afternoon. My name is Kyle. Behind camera is Owen, and thank you so much for joining us here at Tswalu Kalahari. We have just been relaxing here and just appreciating the hustle and bustle of these little birds. Obviously, with the increase of rain now, they are actively breeding at this point. The activity is just constant. What a wonderful afternoon. Pretty toasty, about 28-30 degrees Celsius. But it is just perfect with a little bit of rain that we received early hours. We received a little bit of rain this morning, about between 3:30 a.m. and about 7 o'clock this morning. We had a good downpour, which is fantastic. And being back on board with you folks, we're going to move and meander very slowly through the southern parts of this section of Tswalu, and we're going to be looking for all the little tiny insects and birds and trees. We're going to be taking it very easy this afternoon to unearth some very interesting and fascinating creatures. So no matter what time of the year we are in, 20 millimeters or a little bit more, these birds will actively start breeding. So this is the perfect period for these birds to do just that. For now, we're just going to observe here for a little bit, but I'm going to send you off to TRISHALA, and we'll see you a little bit.
We've come into the Mulwati and happened upon this young gentleman again. As he moves up there. Let's move a little bit forward. He's very busy eating, enjoying the nice shade and coolness that is in the Mulwati. Hello, you. You can actually see that he's got dried bits of mud on him. So he's spent the day at some dam, dust bathed a little bit, and now he's nice and crusty. I just love to watch them. I can watch them for the entire drive. They're always doing something. It's always so interesting to see their movements. So deliberate. Well, off he goes now. We won't be able to get a good look at him again. But I'm hoping we'll find some more along the way. Just a little glimpse through the gap, and he's gone. You see? No. Gone. Alright, like I said, we're in the Mulwati, And we want to do a bit of a river cruise. We'll see what we can stop and find. I can hear crickets. I've been hearing lots of frogs as well. Hopefully we'll be able to find some. I've seen so many foam nest frogs all over the place. I think they have a lot of character. So it'd be nice to see them too. But for now, while I go about my river cruise, I will send you over to Tristan and his sleepy dogs.
Good luck, Trishala, on your river cruise. Hopefully you find more than we did this morning, although we had a few insects on our little cruise this morning, which was nice. It's always pleasant driving the Mulawati. It's just pretty in there and feels good to drive inside there, whether or not you see anything. As you can see, very little has changed with the puppies. There's the odd movement every now and then of a tail flick or an ear flick and head up or a slight change in body position, but really they're very stationary, and they will be, I'm pretty sure, quite far into this afternoon's drive. I expect them not to be too active just yet. The interesting thing is that this morning, with all of the commotion and them running around, I don't think they actually were hunting this morning. So a lot of them will be fairly hungry, which means this afternoon's going to be them going on a full-on hunt. I reckon that we're going to see them trying to find food a lot more enthusiastically this afternoon than potentially what we saw this morning, or even the last afternoon that I saw them, where they were very, very full. And that afternoon they just lay the whole day until even after sunset they were still in the same position. So they should be pretty active come that sort of sunset period. But unfortunately I don't think we're going to see much of it, which is a bit of a shame. But you never know, maybe they pick up something that's in a different direction and they run and are able to grab something. You can never be too sure with dogs. That's one amazing thing about them, is when they wake up and they decide to go a direction, that direction can completely change. This morning, to give you an idea, in fact, I'll get my map out so I can show you guys the kind of movement of these dogs over the course of last night and today. So yesterday, they were basically where my finger is, right on the bottom part of the map, inside Cheetah Plains. So they were quite a lot way further down. They then came up and they went like this, and they basically went here, Leadwood Dam, and we found them basically going from Leadwood Dam towards Cheetah Cutline. From there, they were running north. Their direction was to go northwards. They got to here, and then this is where all the commotion was, inside Torchwood. And then from there, dogs went up into Buffelshoek. Some dogs went along the boundaries. Some dogs went past Buffelshoek Dam. There were dogs that went all the way down into Hofmans, quite far south, then came all the way back, and dogs were basically just spread across this whole area. Eventually, they regrouped over here. They ran up, and then they came down, and then we ended up where we are right now. So they've covered a huge amount of distance, but the general pattern, as you can see, was kind of westwards. But initially this morning they were heading north and they were going into Buffelshoek, and all of a sudden they turned and came all the way back south. And I expect then that they're going to push more westwards, particularly because the prevailing wind this afternoon is coming from the north west. So I'm pretty sure they're going to kind of cut in that direction. But it just shows you how quickly they change direction. I mean, they were going everywhere this morning. No, it really depends on what they've eaten. So most of the time, because of their high metabolic rate, due to the fact that they run and trot rather than just walk around, they normally require food much faster than what you would see from a cat. So you're finding dogs are generally eating twice a day even. So they'll hunt in the morning, hunt in the afternoon. But let's say hypothetically they make a big kill this afternoon, probably a day to 2 days, and then they really need to start looking for food again. They process that food very, very quickly, like I say, because of how high their metabolic rate is, because of their rate of movement and how much energy they burn constantly by moving around. They are like marathon runners every single day. It's not uncommon for wild dogs to cover a good 30-40 kilometers in a single day. So They do that every day, day in, day out, and just constantly running. And if you watch them when they're hunting, it's not only that they're moving in a certain direction, but they go in all kinds of other directions off of that hunt in sprints. So they do a marathon interjected with sprinting in between, which is chaos if you think about it. Imagine telling somebody to run a 30-kilometer marathon and then halfway through it tell them to sprint for 5 minutes and then go back into a marathon pace and then sprint again. It's just, I mean, they are supremely fit animals, and that's why they're built the way that they are. Slender, small, allows them to cover ground pretty quickly and pretty efficiently. But the dog that's lying kind of in the middle of the three, where we are now, is one of the prettier dogs. I really enjoy its patterning. It's the one that's got quite a lot of white on it, so particularly around the armpit area and chest. It's a very, very pretty dog with whites and little kind of caramels and dark sort of black colorations around it. It's a really, really nice looking dog, that. The Ngala male, which is the one that we've followed for the longest, we've been seeing him for quite some time, and it's crazy because he comes obviously from where Ngala is. That's why he's got that name. I don't see him right now, but he should be in this grouping as well. He's quite nice and distinct. If you see him from the left side, he's got this kind of little black half circle on his left flank on top. So it almost looks like a little saddle that's on him there. He's a really cool dog, and it's amazing to see the kind of distances he's traveled as well to associate with the new pack. And even though we call this kind of the Sands pack, if you want to call it that, naming of packs is always very tricky because of how much disruption takes place and how many different kind of dogs come in and out all the time. It makes things really, really tricky in terms of naming packs. So this pack has got members from, I think, 4 or 5 different packs now, but it's kind of called the Sands pack just generally because it stays within the Sabi Sands. All right, we'll continue with them. Like I say, you never know what can happen. Maybe something moves past them and causes a little bit of a stir. In the meantime, though, let's send you back across to Dan.
Welcome back to andBeyond and Ngala, everybody. Now, my thoughts for the afternoon as well. I mean, it's the first day in about 5 days that the sun has kind of come out and feeling a bit warm. So I thought, let's go and stop at a watering hole, see if nothing's coming down to have a drink. And as you can see, we found a knobbable duck, kind of just left the water and waddling away. Don't know if you see that big, they call it a comb on the front of its bill. It's a distinguishing feature, being very white as well. And that's the male. It's got its breeding plumage as well with that big knob on its face. And if you have a look a little bit down, there are a few hippos that are moving around, and they've actually come to inquire about us. And they're moving a little bit closer. I promise there are a few hippos. You see, there's one kind of watching us. It's almost like we've disturbed their slumber, which I don't mean to do. And you'll see them sleeping in the watering hole like this, going down for a few minutes, then coming up. Just watching. That one almost looks like it's half asleep as well. Just going to spend a few moments here, see if nothing comes down. There's also, if BK goes to the far right of the watering hole, there's another knobbable duck. There's a few terrapins, which are like a freshwater kind of turtle that are hanging out on the top of that log. If you look very carefully, it's a reptile that's just kind of trying to warm up for the day, taking advantage of the heat. There's another knobbable duck there, and it looks like it's fast asleep, actually. It's almost like it's tucked its head into its feathers. Those terrapins as well, if something were to startle them, they might just quickly slide back into the water where they're safest. You'll often see terrapins on the back of hippos as well, but with these hippos spending a lot of their time in the past few minutes underwater, I think they've kind of picked a more consistent log that is exposed. And one more interesting thing while we're here, I mean, if BK quickly shows to that, or looks at that big tree on the left-hand side, we're doing lots of left to right here. But have a look at this dead tree. There's an African spoonbill on the right-hand side. This looks like it's resting. And you see a few little birds fluttering around in that tree. Can you see those nests as well? Those beautiful stick platforms? Those are red-billed buffalo weavers' nests. And there are actually a few red-billed buffalo weavers that are flying in and out of there if you look very carefully. They're building. They're these communal nesters, and they'll build this nest as a group together. And very interestingly, out here we use those nests actually to try and determine direction. Those buffalo weavers will always build their nests kind of on the northwest side of trees. So we can use that to kind of determine direction. And the reason for that is in the cooler months, where in the winter time when the sun is setting later and you're heading into some cold evenings, to try and absorb and take advantage of the heat, they will try and get as much of that last minute sunlight as they possibly can by keeping their nests on the northwestern side of a tree. It's always amazing to me how such big nests are built by quite small birds, and how in the world does the first stick get dropped? There's actually one that's flying in now. Coming in now, is kind of taking a little left turn. Let's see if he flies into the tree. I have no idea how they'd place that first stick. It always blows my mind. And they can build these nests incredibly quickly, actually. And there'll be lots and lots of birds that'll live in that stick platform and take advantage of it together. And they'll build it together, all looking after the young chicks when they hatch. That spoonbill on the right-hand side, that white bird, I'm sure as it starts to cool down a little bit, might fly down to the bottom of the tree and on the edges of the water, kind of sift through the muddy banks looking for any kind of food that it may find. There's actually quite a lot of birds that are flying around as well. It's very tricky to pick up. There are lots of alpine swifts, some swallows. So with nothing coming down for now, I might spend the next 2 minutes or so hoping that a large herd of elephants or something comes down to drink. But if not, I might keep going, see what else we can find this afternoon and send you to another live location.
An ever-increasing part of the global population is losing its connection with nature. WildEarth is here to reduce people's stress and anxiety, allowing you to escape into nature even just for a few hours a day. However, WildEarth is expensive to run, and we need help from you to keep this ship going. WildEarth Explorers gives you the opportunity to be part of a program that supports the sharing of nature with the world.
Jumbo, my name is Isaac ROTICH. I come live to you every day from the Mara Triangle in Kenya, East Africa. I think the most underrated animal here where we are is the spotted hyena. And the main reason is people haven't read any literature to fully understand about this super predator.
Catch up with the guides daily here on WildEarth. WildEarth is launching our brand new Explorer program with an opportunity to win a very special WildEarth expedition. The lucky winner will get a behind-the-scenes WildEarth experience at the magnificent and beyond Ngala Tainted Safari Camp. The prize includes a 3-night stay for you and a friend with a chance to sleep out in the unique Ngala treehouse. Become a WildEarth Explorer and stand a chance to win this and many other prizes. Terms and conditions apply.
You are cheeky. That was a brave decision. Amber Eyes is... Oh. That is so magic. That was absolutely wonderful. Amber Eyes just gave that cub an enormous hug.
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth daily.
As you can see, we have moved a little bit to find the rest of the adults. The puppies are kind of behind us at the moment, but this is the rest of the kind of adult group. We had the 3 back then. Here is the 5, which makes the 8 adults. Yeah. And everybody is fast asleep. Why they've kind of positioned themselves where they have in these very average little spots of shade when there's a massive, well, 2 actually, massive marulas very close by that they could have lay under, where there would have been a lot more shade than just this single little bush willow. You can see those 2 marulas there are providing very solid, very dense shade on the backside of them. But I suppose they decided to get in underneath the bush willows where, when it was midday, maybe the shade was a little bit better under these. I also did see tracks for a bull elephant walking past here, so maybe he had something to do with it, where he walked and kind of disturbed them from under those trees, and they had to find themselves a bit of a less desirable spot. But what you'll see is as the sun is moving and it starts to hit them, so they start to stand up and move and find themselves another little shady spot and lie back down again, and they just keep doing that until such time as they get going. But it's amazing when you look at them like this, you can see why this coat pattern works. So for us, it seems silly and it seems kind of too multicolored and easy to spot, but when they're in these little shady spots like this and in the grass itself, they can be quite tricky to find. If it's not for their movement and the amount of kind of ear flicking and tail flicking that goes on, you wouldn't really notice them. It would be quite tricky to pick them up. That mottled pattern blends in really well with the dappled light that comes through these trees. And so that's part of their kind of camouflage that they have. Now, of course, we know with them that camouflage is not a huge part of their hunting strategy. They're not animals that like to camouflage in order to be able to stalk and ambush a prey animal. They have camouflage to get close enough and within range to then start causing absolute panic within the animals that they're hunting. So they can then burst out and, cause a bombshell effect and hope that whatever prey animal it is makes a mistake and runs into another member or fatigues, and they can then grab them like that. So it's kind of why they have that multicolored patterning, and it's nice that they do, because it allows us to be able to identify them. You can build up a pretty good database pretty quickly. If you can get a right side and left side photo of dogs, you don't really worry about the face as much, but right and left flanks are really what you want in order to be able to identify the different dogs. It's a lot of work for the researchers when they have to ID these guys and go through all the photographs that they have, because you must remember that most of the dogs that survive throughout the Kruger National Park area, it's very seldom that dogs in this area will live their full lifespan. Most dogs, or the average age of the dogs that you're seeing in Kruger, is between sort of 3 and 5 years old. There's not very many dogs that survive over 7. And that's just due to the nature of what goes on. We've obviously seen this week that a lioness grabbed a wild dog. There's leopard issues, hyena issues. So they unfortunately, their numbers get depleted pretty quickly, and they don't live out their lifespans in the wild that easily. There's the odd individuals that make it pretty far. There was a dog called Lightning that he got quite old. And then there was a very old dog that was part of I think it's the Investec pack. I saw it at the beginning of the year, but I mean, this dog's teeth are worn down, its ears all tatty, and it's got a little bit of grey on its kind of muzzle. So that guy is quite old as well. And there's the odd ones here and there that make it quite far, but for the most part, they're all pretty young. They don't live out too long, unfortunately. It's such a fascinating animal, and the other problem with dogs is that there's so much misinformation about them out there. Most of what's written in a lot of field guides and things like that is unfortunately not that true. So it's been so nice. I've been fortunate to have spent a lot of time with the researchers and has learned a lot from them about wild dog behavior, which we'll get into a little bit later. In the meantime, though, we're going to send you up to TAYLA McCurdy at Pridelands and see what she's got for us that side.
Tristan, I've been on many wild dog darting experience with you. It's always really, really cool to learn all the new wonderful information and all the insights that are coming from the top researchers in the country. We've got elephants, obviously, because Pridelands is filled with elephants, which I'm definitely not complaining about. We've actually got the same breeding herd that we spent some time with this morning. Now, just a few moments ago, there was a bit of a tussle. I suspect it was between one of the cows and one of the young bulls. I don't know what happened, but there was some chaos, so there's a bit of tension in the air now. But they're all just feeding through the thicket. I hope that in the next 10 to 20 minutes or so, they'll come out into the open so we can get a better view. And there's also some really nice little mud wallows around here, so perhaps I'll go to one of those and splash about. But for the now, can we make that a new saying? No. For the moment is obviously what I meant. They've got their traps up in the air and browsing on. They were on a knobthorn. That one is a sickle bush. So they're eating all sorts of different things this afternoon. But I don't know if I know this herd. I haven't seen them out in the open. So we'll try and get a better view in a minute. It might be we have seen before a small group of elephants, a breeding herd, maybe like 10 of them, that used to pop past in Glovu Dam. But they're spending some time down in this eastern corner now on Pridelands. You can see they're all just feeding through those gaps. Gimsel, I think the biggest elephant that I have seen in the wild has to be Ezulwini. So he's an enormous tusker that occasionally graces us with his presence in this area. So we have had him live once. It was so spectacular. I really hope we get to see him again, but I think he's spending a bit more time in, I think it's between Baluli and, well, maybe the main parts of Baluli and Jajani. There's a circuit that some of the elephant bulls like to do, and he's spending a bit of time up there, so fingers crossed that he does come down this way before the end of the year, or at least in the next 10 days or so. It would be quite nice. I think what I'm going to do, Seb, is I'm going to turn around quickly, because we're facing the wrong direction of where the elephants are now going. So I'm going to quickly turn around, and then I think we will have a better view of them. There's also some giraffe behind us, and it looks like some of the elephant bulls have jumped ahead of the breeding herd, and I think are going to a couple of these little mud wallows. So we're going to try and position ourselves nicely. I want to try and get ahead of them. The thing about going on safari is trying to be able to predict the animal's movement, so you don't have to keep repositioning. So we will do a little maneuver here. We won't park on top of this watering little mud wallow. We'll do this, and then we'll just wait for everybody to settle, and Sebastian will find a little gap to through. But now at least we can see them coming towards us, and we won't stare at their rear ends. You can see them all just coming through the thicket now. Slowly but surely. Also lovely birds calling. CJ, yes, funny you should ask. I do have a favorite elephant on Pridelands. Everybody's now probably going, Susan, because she is indeed my absolute favorite. She's an interesting individual. I came across her a couple of months ago, but I only kind of put two and two together that we were seeing the same breeding herd over and over. I was obviously just excited by the amount of elephants that we were seeing all the time. And then once I kind of got into it and settled down, I started noticing it was, we're seeing three of the same breeding herds almost every single day. And one particular elephant kept throwing a bit of a tantrum around me, where this young really, and then like really grown elephant. She is just young and, well, yeah, sorry, we're just having some audio issues there. But I think it's fixed now, hopefully. So she's kind of my favorite. I haven't seen Susan and her herd for quite some time now. I don't know if they've maybe also pushed up into Jajani for a little bit. There haven't been too many herds. This herd and then one other herd. Let's spend a bit of time on the reserve at the moment. Funny though, funny story. I was chatting to the guys at Elephants Alive yesterday, and they were just telling me about some of the movements. I don't know if any of you remember Masana. I don't know if we ever got to put her live, but it's a cow that's collared. Maybe Mike has showed her to you as well. Anyways, she was spending quite a bit of time. She was one of the 3 breeding herds that we were seeing over and over. She's now in Thornybush. That's where she has decided to settle for about the last month or so. She's just been spending there, which is quite a distance that she's walked. So I think, Seb, we're going to move again, because look what's happening off to our right. There's young that are rolling around in another mud wallow, and this breeding herd, I think, is going to go there too. We are quite close to the boundary, so to the eastern boundary. Literally on the other side is a wilderness area. It's called Hoedspruit Wildlife Estate. So people come and they live here, and it's quite cool. There's giraffe and a whole lot of plains game. No, they're going to play in this one. So let me just get a better view. There's also some giraffe around here, so we're almost right on the fence. But this area is so gorgeous. It reminds me a little bit of parts of Botswana. Lots of big leadwoods, some of them are dead, and awesome mud wallows. The buffalo breeding herd has been spending a lot of time here. I think what I'll do, Seb, is like this, and then we can watch them. I'm going to turn, sorry for the scratchy noises, but I think that's a bit better. There we go. So there are two young bulls that have already made their way and claimed that mud wallow as their own. I don't think it will last very long, not once the girls come on in and take their claim. Here they all come. You can actually hear them, so I'm just going to sit quiet for a moment just so you can hear how noisy they're being. Look at this one, she's just about sprinting there. Sorry, I'm trying to maneuver myself as well. The same shoots over the top of my head. Look at them go. They're so excited to get there. Immediately, that cow let off a rumble to basically say, right, move. Isn't that cool? Shove those young bulls right out of there. They didn't really put up much of a fight. They moved off quite quickly, so quite vocal when they arrived at this little watering hole. But there's going to be lots of fun that's about to happen now, because there's quite a few young elephants in this herd, so I'm hoping that they do stick around and play in the mud. It did go, well, that elephant that did let off the rumble, she's caused quite a stir. Everybody's charging on in now. There you go. Trunks up. Yes, little ones. In you get. No, just thirsty. Oh, barely touched the water. Now what? No, don't like that water, apparently. They're not really spending much time there. Well, at least not the girls. That's so cool. She's enjoying herself. She's not going to move off to the next puddle. There's so many of these little wallows. You could just see one of the anti-poaching teams doing a bit of a boundary patrol just on the edge of the fence line, constantly making sure that there are no incursions. Look at that little one. What are you doing with your trunk? That was very funny. Saranya, yeah, this is fabulous. It's a great way to describe what's happening. I don't know what that little one was doing with its trunk, though. They're very funny when they haven't quite trained and got all those muscles up to full strength. I don't think they really know what to do with them. I'm not interested in having a mud bath, though. Look at it. Yeah, just go put my trunk in my mouth. Maybe he's feeling his tongue. Who knows? Wait. Oh, this is going to be some drama now. You can't shove a cow like that. Careful, Buddy. It's very brave doing that. Young bull. He'll get a hiding if he's not careful. So what these cows do to reprimand the young bulls when they do become a bit boisterous, as that fella is on the right, is that if she's big enough, she'll actually push him and tusk him to the ground and hold him in his place. Oh no, we forgot to mention earlier today, after you left us, the last time we saw the elephants, that big elephant bull that we spent some time with, he actually ended up leaving us, thankfully, He picked up the scent of some more elephants, and then he went and chased a giraffe for probably about 50 or 60 meters. It was quite entertaining. So he was just causing trouble all day long. And speaking of big bulls, there is one on his way in. Is it the same fella we had today, Seb? Well, he had a tear in his left ear, so if he turns, we'll be able to see. Penelope, yes, it's exactly why we're going to get drama, and maybe that's why the herd didn't actually stay here, is that there were too many elephants for that small little wallow. But like I said, there's quite a few of them. And with these bulls, these older bulls tailing the breeding herds, and there was one bull in Musk that I was telling you about this morning hanging around here. I think that they're just not interested. See, there's a giraffe that you can see. I think that might be the same bull. I'm just waiting to see his ear. Hard to tell. I actually didn't take note of his tusks. Lots of bulls that I haven't seen before. But he's a big fella. No, I don't think it's him. Hey, Seb? Nah, different one. Yeah, I think the other elephant we saw this morning was bigger. Though these guys are big. You can see they're really, really tall already, but they just haven't quite filled out yet. Yeah, they're pushing. Maybe that's why the breeding herd has moved on. Look how they're picking up the pace now. So maybe there's a cow that's coming into estrus that's caught the attention of these older bulls that would be quite interested. But again, if there's a big must bull around, he's going to be the one that will mating. He's not going to tolerate these youngsters being around here, and also the females don't really want to be mated with by a younger bull. They also want the best genetics, the biggest and the strongest male within the area. But again, even that fella, even Dex is not the biggest bull. Kumor is much bigger than him and much older than him too. But now elephants have all disappeared, and I don't know if we are going to have great signal down there, I'm afraid. And it's a little bit of a patchy spot, so I'm stuck now. We're trapped here. But it's a cool area, and we haven't had a chance really to spend much time down here. But anyways, we've obviously been talking a whole bunch now. Let's go across to Tristan, who is a lot more calm and quieter than I am.
It's generally the case when it comes to TAYLA and I. Whenever we're together, she's the crazy one. I'm always the well-behaved, calm one. And I'm joking. Generally, when the two of us are together, there's very little that's not loud and noisy. As you can see, not much is happening here. There's not much of a party taking place, maybe a slumber party for our dogs. They're having a good nap. The good thing, though, is the wind is kicking up nicely. There's a few clouds around, and the temperature is starting to cool off quite quickly. And so hopefully that's going to mean that these guys are going to wake up and decide to get going and get up to something. Although right now, everybody is in doggy dreamland. I wonder if they dream about chasing animals around and whether or not they think about such things as, impalas and if they have a favorite meal. I wonder all these things when they're sleeping. I'm sure they do dream about stuff. You often see them kind of kicking, much like the cats do as well. Let's just turn that radio off because that's making a lot of noise. We don't need to hear everybody speaking about Game Drive. But earlier I was saying there's a lot of misinformation about dogs. Unfortunately, because of the fact that everybody kind of likes to put animals into defined things and kind of compartments, dogs often get labeled as various things that they often are not. And so, one part of that is what we've discussed many times over the last few days is the alpha male-female relationship. A lot of people believe that they stay the same throughout the pack's existence. It's not the case, or throughout the existence of that animal, the lifespan of that animal. That's not the case. The alpha pairs can change regularly within a pack system. And what we're seeing is that a lot of these dogs are far more transient than what we ever thought, with a number of members joining other packs and doing multiple packs throughout their lifespan. And what seems to trigger it is two things. One is a food availability situation. So when the packs get a little bit too large and they're struggling to find food, that causes dogs to leave. But the biggest influence is according to what is around them. So when you have movement of dogs, you've got obviously other dogs around, and those dogs that are around that pack, if you find that there's a high concentration of a certain gender, the gender opposite sex will then leave the pack that they're in to go and join those dogs, and often they form their own packs completely. So dispersal is not just male, like in most animals, or territorial animals like lions and leopards. You find dispersal can be both female and male, and it's often according to what's going on within the sphere of their kind of home ranges. So whatever's closest to them. So let's say hypothetically in this pack we had 7 males and 1 female, but all the packs on the outskirts are all females. You're going to find males are going to distribute out because there's going to be a gap for them to be able to either form their own packs or potentially challenge to mate with those females within those packs surrounding. So a lot of movement taking place all the time, and that's why, like I was saying earlier, is naming of packs is almost a kind of pointless exercise. You're never really going to have the same pack year in, year out. There's always going to be distribution of wild dogs through a breeding season. Right, well, we're going to be patient with these guys and see what they get up to. I'm hoping they will get up and move just now. In the meantime, we're going to be sending you off to another part of South Africa. I didn't catch exactly where, but I'm sure it will be interesting.
Yes, the hustle and bustle from sociable weavers to the beautiful little meerkats. Look at that, folks. We've got the Mikado group quite close to the road with all their brand new little babies. Look at them. They are so tiny. Wow, fantastic. So really nice to see them out in the field like this. We've had them mainly at the burrow system itself. And to see them within the environment like this is such a treat. See everybody seeking a bit of shade. We had a yellow mongoose just run past. And you can see how the adults went on full defense mode. But you can see now that the threat is moved out. Bit of play. Your fun times. That's when you have enough food, you feel comfortable. That's when that activity will take place. Also very important for social bonding as well between individuals, because bond in this group is everything. Look at that. Looks like one of them are cheating going into the bush. And those pups are so tiny. They were born the 1st of November. So it makes them a little over a month now. Wow. Obviously, just with the abundance of food at the moment, this is when you have the time and the luxury to do activities such as this. Wow. And obviously this play-fight behavior is not only strengthening bonds between individuals, but it's also sharpening their skills. So as we came live with you folks, and they're off, there was a yellow mongoose, and you could see how the adults were standing upright and just paying full attention to the activity and the movements of that mongoose, because that mongoose is a huge threat to these little pups. And so sharpening your skills when you have the luxury and the time like this here is very, very important. So when it comes to different species interaction or same species, you've kind of practiced along the way and you're not a newbie at it. Michelle, a fantastic comment. They are very cute little things at this point in time. You can see how
bulbous their heads are. They've got tiny little bodies. They actually grow into their heads, and then their heads get a bit longer. You can see how short the actual muzzle is in comparison to the adults. The adults have a very long, tapered off muzzle. So they've still got a bit of growing to do. But it's fantastic that we can share these beginning stages with you folks, because you'll see now on how fast these little guys will grow in the next coming weeks. Back on guard, playtime is over now. And obviously the individual doing this takes this role very seriously. He's got a little bit of height on that bare patch of soil, but I've seen them climb trees, stumps. They find any little bit of height, they will try and clamber onto it. Fairly skilled getting up, but coming down is always a very comical and entertaining scene. You can see how the little ones have safety there in the shade. And they can do what they need to do. For now, we're going to just keep tabs on these little beautiful creatures, and we're going to send you over for some rhino activity.
A very warm welcome to andBeyond Phinda this afternoon. We are sitting at a watering hole with two white rhino. There's the one that we can obviously see, and then if you look quite closely you might see a second little head coming up between the legs and shoulders of the other one. Welcome, my name's Devin. I'm going to be guiding you through your afternoon here at Phinda. Behind the camera we've got Glenn, and very excited. Our plan is supposed we're going to actually look for some cheetah. There is a mother with 3 very young cubs, and we kind of left the lodge this afternoon hoping to find her, and went to find Egyptian geese coming in there and frightening the rhino a little bit. Quite a funny thought that a bird that small could frighten or startle such a big rhino. Very clearly see both of them now, and quite cool if you look closely that you can see the dried mud that they've got caked all over their bodies. Now, today's been a very hot day. We've had quite a bit of rain over the last 2 days, and it's been very nice and cool. But today the clouds cleared, and from early this morning it's been quite a blistering hot day out here. So you might have found that these rhino this morning went and had a mud wallow. This rhino that's facing us now, if you look at his nose, is actually caked in dry mud. That's all peeling off of him. And that would have been from this morning's mud wallow. So a white rhino will mud wallow in watering holes not too dissimilar from this one. And they'll do that to help cool down, and it's also extremely useful for getting rid of parasites. So rhinos pick up things like ticks, and they will wallow, cover themselves in mud, and when they're finished wallowing, they'll go and find a scratch post and go scratch up against the post and get as much of that mud and anything else that's dried into the mud, like little ticks and things. Often if you go look at those scratch posts after animals have been scratching there, you can often find lots of mud, and in between it you'll find little hairs and ticks that they've managed to scrape off. But like I was saying now, these rhino are here drinking. It's a small little watering hole, and the same one we were at the other day actually, and they've come back down here again. It's one of the few watering holes that have got water in it at the moment. So we've had about 10 mils of rain over the last couple of days, but it hasn't quite been enough to fill up any of the bigger pan systems that we've got in the south here. So still hoping for more rain, and until then, this watering hole is going to have to service a number of animals that live in this area. There's lots of plains game around here. We have a few buffalo herds that roam around this area, and things like zebra and wildebeest are also quite common down here. We're going to spend another 5 minutes or so at this watering hole, and if nothing else comes out, we're going to keep on moving. But for now, we're going to send you off to your next live destination, and we'll see you in a little bit.
Well, we've come to that part of the day where we need to use our senses other than our eyes, but also our ears. Let's have a listen as these elephants splash about. What another magical moment spent with the elephants at Pridelands. Isn't this just fantastic? It seems like we've got two breeding herds meeting up together, all huddling around a bit of a mud wallow. And what a better way to spend a Sunday afternoon than playing by the pool. Everybody's dream. Well, at least the kids. But it's sometimes nice to revisit your childhood. Thank you, elephants, for this magical sighting.
Welcome back, everybody, to andBeyond and Ngala, and look at what we found here. We found the Birmingham Breakaway Pride, and look at what's just got their attention. I'm going to actually ask Beeks to quickly show you what's ahead of us in the road. You see, there's a giraffe, and there's actually a few giraffe that have kind of just walked into this picture. And they're kind of walking closer and closer and closer. They haven't seen these lions just yet, but look at their attention. They've just kind of flicked their heads up. I'm waiting to see if one of the older lionesses, there's an incredibly distinct lioness in this pride, the one with tail, and I'm going to just see a few of the younger males have got the attention of these giraffe. I wonder if one of those lionesses hasn't popped her head up there as well. It'd be super interesting to see if these giraffe keep coming. It's nice and dense here as well. I mean, the opportunistic nature of these lions might mean that they're going to kick into a hunting gear very quickly. That male's watching incredibly carefully. I hope those giraffe haven't seen him. I mean, a giraffe have got that really good vantage point of having those long necks and being able to see quite far. They've got incredibly good eyesight as well. I can't see the kind of path that those lions are looking down or towards. I'm hoping that it's open. They certainly have got the lion's attention. I hope the lions haven't got the giraffe's attention, because if they have, then the cover of the hunt is going to be blown. Just stop and listen. I mean, the giraffe have gone out of our picture as well. I'm hoping that the fact that I can't see them might mean that these lions might see them. Just watching. The giraffe is... Can you see it there, Beaks? Just a leg. Just a leg. I'm also just trying to listen. I mean, I can see one leg of the giraffe, but I think there are at least 3 of them. Try and listen to see if I can hear them walking through the bush, or see what these lions are doing, seeing if they might get up. Listening is incredibly important. Maybe the oxpeckers on the back of the giraffe will bring our attention towards exactly where they are. There's a young male that's just got up. Let's see what he's going to do, if he's not going to come in and... Oh, sounded like an impala alarm calling in the distance. Sounded like it was too far. Off, one of them's up. Let's kind of watch him. Watch his ears. Watch his body position carefully. Let's see what his next move is. And a giraffe is a tricky prey species. But having young males, and that's a big young male, gives them a serious advantage. He's quite brave going on his own, however. I'm not going to go anywhere either. I'm not going to try and turn on or move just yet unless the rest of the pride gets up and moves, simply because me turning on might bring the giraffe's attention towards where these lions are. Rosalind, how often do lions hunt? It's a difficult question to give you a straight answer. And, I mean, these lions had no intention of hunting right now. But the fact that these giraffe have kind of come into picture has presented an opportunity that they didn't have before, showing us their opportunistic nature. And there's quite a few lions here. There's 9 of them. I wonder if one of those lions, maybe that male, might not try. It would be quite clever for it to try and do a loop around to chase it back. That giraffe is coming back towards the road as well. Look at the interest, hey? And the wind is in their favor as well. The wind is kind of blowing from our right to left, not blowing the lion's smell towards the giraffe. So look at them stalking, hey? Look at the body position. Watch how carefully they place their feet. So to be careful. Watch her back foot goes into exactly the same footstep as the front foot to try and keep as quiet as they can. I think with this, if the giraffe haven't seen them yet, which judging by their stealth and the fact that they're still so cautious about it, I don't think the giraffe have seen them. They would be very clever to kind of loop around and set a trap to them. Giraffe being such big, strong prey, the best way that they can actually hunt them is to try and chase them into a kind of thicker area. Here comes this giraffe right into the road. Oh, it's kind of moving around. I'm going to stick onto this giraffe for now. That's one of the giraffe. There are a few more though. I wonder if they're not going to follow that male lion, that first one that got up and moved around. He might be very close. We're going to just stick with these lions now as well, see what they do. If those giraffe keep following that other one, it might be a really good opportunity. The density of the bush as well is providing really good cover. Stopping and listening, I can hear this giraffe on the left. The lions are also kind of like circling around our vehicle here. They're not really using the vehicle to their advantage, but they are starting to set a trap. Or it seems like it. And it's amazing. It's warm, the warmest day we've had in a while. And it's like, you always hear about lions hunting during the darkness and during the cooler times. Enlightenment hunt mode activated. I couldn't agree with you more, and it's amazing to watch how quickly that hunt mode was activated. Here comes, oh, this lion is getting very close to this giraffe in front of us. And there's one that's kind of gone behind us as well. Just watch him. That giraffe is on the left of him, not worrying yet. And I'm not going to turn on. I know the giraffe is just out of picture. I really hope this lioness behind us does a little bit more of a loop around. But the strength of that male, he's big and strong. He's not going to be able to do that, kill that giraffe on his own. But you'll see, if he does get a chance or even gets a claw or a bite into it, the rest of the pride will join it very quickly. I wonder if this might be a big time in this young male's life. He's still with the pride. He looks like he's getting to an age where he may be leaving very soon. And he needs to hone. Oh, looks like the giraffe might have seen him. Watch, watch, watch. Oh, the giraffe has seen him. And off it goes, unfortunately. That might have just been a little bit of inexperience on this young male's part. That giraffe saw it maybe from about 10 meters away and quickly ran away. As soon as it saw it, and you'll often see giraffe will actually stop and stare before they run away. But that giraffe was completely taken by surprise. Let's see what this young male does now. I wonder if he's going to try and change his plan to try and stalk one of the other giraffe. Although you'll see, I mean, that giraffe shouldn't go too far. The reason being, they've got incredibly good eyesight and they rely on their eyesight to kind of bring or to find predators that might be hunting them, such as these lions. But with that giraffe running, and it's not going to run continuously forever, its best chance at actually trying to ensure its safety is to keep a good eye on where those lions are moving and what they'll be doing. So you'll see by moving away quickly, it may then move back to make sure that it can see these lions, because the best enemy is the one that you can see or that's in your sight, and you might ensure that there's at least enough distance that it won't be able to catch up to you. This young male here that's sitting closest to us, you can see he looks like he's a very similar age to the one that started that hunt, in fact. And I'm surprised. I mean, their best shot at survival when they do leave the pride, I'm sure these two will even leave together. And they're really going to need to hone their hunting skills and get a bit better at it. They've been learning from mom for the past few years. So with that first hunt kind of being blown, there were a few more giraffe. I'm going to spend a little bit more time here waiting to see if they don't come back into picture, and maybe this young male and the rest of the ones that are lying down might kind of get the cue and join this hunt. In the meantime, I'm going to send you to Dev with his zebra and rhino.
Welcome back to andBeyond Phinda. We have got a herd of plains game out in front of us here. We were sitting with a wildebeest, buffalo and zebra waiting for you guys to come back to us, and this rhino has just wandered into the shot as well and into the scene here, which is really magnificent. The sun's just starting to get down, the light's getting golden, and we've got a beautiful live African scene happening here for you guys. It'll be interesting to watch the other animals move around that rhino as he kind of now makes his way through the group. Important to remember that he's a lot bigger than the rest of these animals, so they will most likely move out of the way for him. It's the kind of natural order or hierarchy of the African plains. You see that wildebeest is not interested in getting in that rhino's way. The rhino's a big dominant bull. He has walked into the scene. He's been scent marking and scraping his feet through the grass as he goes. So he's marking his territory here. And hopefully when he gets to his next big bush, he's going to give us another scent mark so we can see exactly what I mean by that. Although he does look like he might wander out of sight now. The zebra that we've got here, the plain zebra, have beautiful shadow stripes where they've got quite a golden appearance now. Just as we focus on zebra, If you look at their stripes, they've got those very characteristic black and white stripes on their sides, but then they've got the shadow stripes that exist in between. And that is characteristic of these plain zebra that we have here. Glenn, if you pan across a little bit to the left, there's a zebra with a calf coming across. Hi, Rosalind. Thank you for that question. Big male white rhino get all the way up to 1,600, 700, 800 kilos, so well over a ton. And yeah, very large, whereas black rhinos will peak out maybe at around 1,200. Going back to the zebra here, there are two youngsters that I can see immediately. Two little foals that have been born recently. You can see the one on the left is just being blocked from our view by another zebra, but it's now nuzzling between its mother's legs trying to suckle. Still very young. Just a little bit behind it to the right is another one that's also standing next to its mother there. And if you look at their colors, they're actually quite a lot more brown than the adults. They're a little bit more fluffy and obviously significantly smaller. So these animals are actually all slowly moving in the direction of that watering hole that we were just at 5 minutes ago. So I wonder if they might be heading there for an afternoon drink, or if they're just moving into the lower lying area here. There's been lots of rain yesterday and the day before. So in the lower lying areas, all the grass is getting these beautiful green, luscious shoots that are coming through. Which is great for grazing and known as quite sweet felt. The zebra will be really enjoying eating that. It's quite a large herd of them here. Not too often that we see this many congregated together on Phinda, but very, very, very beautiful. Now, we're not going to stick with these animals until they get to the dam, but I believe Kyle has got an animal at the dam and he is going to take you into the next session.
We've got action of a leopard tortoise on the right-hand side of the dam, making his way off very speedily. Came down for a little drink. I wonder if it's Timothy or Tiffany that was here last time. I think we ID'd as a male, so Timothy. On the right hand side there. On the edge. There we go. Owen is on it like a scone. On like a scone. Just pull forward for us a little bit, Owen. Okay, just hold on there for me quickly, folks. We're just going to pull slightly forward so we can get a longer view of that amazing little reptile. Wonderful. And there's a lot of bird activity here. A lot of swifts, to be more specific. We've got common swifts and Bradfield swift at the moment coming into the water and skimming the water at a very, very high speed. Catching it for a little drink. Obviously, they're aerial feeders. And skimming the water like it would be for their own water requirements. And this little tortoise is actually wading into the water. Very efficient way of cooling oneself down. So in the heat that we have today, along with the humidity, it must be quite warm to be a reptile. But taking a little bathe like this is perfect. So with his body being wet, along with that nice cool breeze, that'll actually bring the body temperature down a little bit. Wow, fantastic. So we've just pulled into this pan just to take a little squiz of any activity. We've got some guinea fowl there in the shadows in front of those stilts, those black wing stilts. can see they're just busy resting at the moment, busy doing a little preening. They've obviously done the feed for the day. And those black wings still very active. They just never stop. And so we've just come into this pan just to make sure of any activity in and out of this pan. Obviously a source of water like this is very, very important. Laura Moore, good afternoon, and wonderful to hear from you. How often do tortoises come to the water's edge? Yeah, that would depend on time of the year, availability of food in the area. That would be a variable across individuals within a population. So I think with a tortoise, if I knew there was water here, I would definitely come down for a thirsty drink. But that would be a very varied question or varied answer. So yeah, it depends on, especially now these favorable times, tortoises do feed on flowers, they feed on succulents, grass, forbs. So with all the very high water content food around at the moment, they don't have to venture too far and wide for water requirements. But I guess that if it is available like this and they know it's here, great. Oh, beautiful little grebes Owen's got us on there. Those are such tiny little birds. You'd think, how do these little organisms make it? I've even got a higher degree of respect for smaller organisms and how they survive day-to-day activities. Sexes are alike within the species, and you can see they're doing plunge diving activities. That's how they feed. So they've got quite a buoyant ability, but then they're specially adapted feet. And if you look at birds across the board, their feet. Wow, there was a little bit of courtship behavior going on there. They're just together called, and you can see how they almost swam together, almost in synchronicity. Or in sync, let me say that. Beautiful little birds. Yo, those swifts are coming in like kamikaze pilots. And there's a few of them up here. Like I mentioned, there's common swift and Bradfield swift. And Bradfield swift, if you look at the distribution, you'll only find them in the northwestern section of South Africa, and then they go up into Namibia. So it's one of those birds that you could, if you were a big birder, add to that life list while here at Tswalu, which is a fantastic add-on, along with the beautiful vegetation and the fantastic scenery. I mean, those mountains are looking so lush right now. I just can't believe the change that we have gone through over the past month. So while we wait for any activity here, we're going to send you off for a short while, and we'll see you later.
My name is Ross, and I'm a field guide at andBeyond Phinda Private Game Reserve. I love getting questions from guests on WildEarth because I love sharing and learning information about nature with new people, and it also makes me feel like you're all joining me in real life. If you want to ask a question on WildEarth, then you need to register on our website. Once registered, go to our live safari page and submit your question below our live feed.
Welcome to my car. This is Wendy, and she's my favorite. She would love to have your name attached to her, so you can be with her every single time she goes on a safari here in Djuma. If you become a WildEarth explorer, you will have the opportunity to buy an engraved tag, which we will attach to her. We will make sure to send you a digital picture to show you exactly where you are sitting on her. You will have front row seat in every single sighting.
What fascinates me most about the animal circle of life is the intricacies between the large and the very, very small. I mean, it's very easy to go out there and find the large. Once you found the large, the cascading effect down to the small absolutely fascinates me. Alertness and situation awareness is by far the #1 aspect for protecting ourselves out on safari.
Catch up with the guides daily here on WildEarth. Have you been watching WildEarth and dreamt of being right there on safari with one of the guides? Well, now you can. WildEarth is offering you a chance to buy a ticket to dream. You or a friend can hop on board a live WildEarth show and join our guide on safari. The ticket is redeemable at any of our locations anytime in the future. Only a limited number of tickets are available, so don't wait. Get your ticket now and start dreaming. Terms and conditions apply.
This really, really large bull is much larger than the one that we saw earlier. It's been a great elephant day, hasn't it? I saw a breeding herd crossing into Djuma too, but from a distance I'm trying to find them. And I came across this really, really big bull. Such magnificence. That was flatulence, everyone. Big body, big flatulence. He is huge. You won't really get an idea of his size until you see him with other elephants, or in a breeding herd especially. The space between his eyes and the distance between his tusks are very wide. That would put him that wideness, though it could be wider, I'd say would put him in the 40s. Also, you can see there's depressions on his head. It's in front of the ear there that have sunken in. And also his cheeks are sunken in. So I'll put him in his 40s. But he doesn't look terribly old. He doesn't look like he's in bad old condition. Michael, you'd like to know what their diet consists of? All types of vegetation. Leaves, bark, inner bark, fruit, grass. Anything they can get their trunks on. I just love to listen to them as they move through. I'm actually not too far from Tristan. It seems that his wild dogs are up and about, so let's go have a look.
Well, listening to elephants move about and listening to wild dogs moving about is two very, very, very cool things. The dogs have just woken up and they are going a little bit crazy, as they do. I'll keep quiet so you can hear all the squittering and squealing and carrying on that's taking place. So often this is what happens before they get going, is everybody greets each other, you get lots of interactions, you'll get lots of complaining as they kind of find each other and interact, and then you'll find eventually they decide to go. The adults have enough of the little ones, and then they get going. And I'm hoping they're going to come out in front of us. They were kind of running around all over the place. It's not the best view right now, unfortunately. I was hoping they were going to move out. They were kind of more in the clearing just now, but went back into this little thicket. And you see how the puppies have still got that instinct to go straight to the face and lick each other's faces. Now they do that with the adults because that when they were younger triggered regurgitation within these adults. So the adults would then, as they would be licked on the face, would then regurgitate meat for them, and that's how they would eat. Unlike hyenas, where adults will bring food back to them, with wild dogs, that's not how things work. You need to, unfortunately, get food regurgitated, and all parts of the pack, or all members of the pack, will actually come and help with that and try and... Now, I just want to see something quickly. This dog that just sat down, are there worms hanging out of its bottom? It looked like there was something hanging out. Are you going to stand up now? No, back to sleep again. Okay, well, we'll just watch that dog when it stands up. There's definitely... There we go. You see the worms hanging out. That's not great. Or is that bits of meat? I can't even see what it is at this stage. Either way, it's not pleasant, whatever that is, and it's struggling to get it out. You see how it's going to wipe its bum on the ground? It's the most ridiculous thing ever. When they have, I'm pretty sure it's worms that it's got. If it is, it's a very large worm. I know it's a bit gross for a lot of people. It's not something that you want to see, but that is quite common with wild dogs, I'm afraid. That happens every now and then. There we go, they fell out, which is good. Victoria, you're asking which one is stronger, males or females. So males are slightly bulkier in the wild dog world. You find they get a thicker collar of fur around the neck, slightly larger, and so they're a little bit on the stronger side. I'm going to reposition because where we are right now, it's not easy at all. That one is still struggling with the worms in its backside. Not very pleasant at all. I've seen it with lions before, but with wild dogs, it's quite a common thing to see those hanging out the back. You can see they get quite big as well. It's not a pleasant thing to see. But they get rid of them by just doing exactly what it does there, is basically defecating and then starting to rub their bum on the ground, and that then triggers eventually for the worms to kind of drop out. But yes, not exactly pleasant, that's for sure. So we'll just park here, and hopefully if they start playing again, it's going to be in this little section, and we'll be able to kind of see them. You saw that one had a nice big yawn. So with wild dogs, their dental structure is slightly different to cats. They actually have more teeth than what cats do. I'll show you now a picture of their kind of skull and the teeth that they have. So while that one was yawning, you saw they had quite a nice kind of mouthful of big white teeth, and their mouth structure is very similar to cats in that obviously it's got the kind of incisors, canines, premolars, and then carnassials at the back. But like I say, they do have an extra set of premolars, I think it is. I'll double check now. Why that is, I don't know. I mean, they obviously have a very similar diet to what cats have. But if we have a look here, you'll be able to see you've got on top here, you've got a lion, and then you've got hyenas over here. So lions and most of the cats will hover around sort of 30 teeth, which will be obviously if you see the little kind of number plates here with the numbers, those are incisors. Red is canines, blue or premolars, green will be your normal molars. So they have 30 teeth in their mouth. Hyenas will have 34, and wild dogs, you see, have 42. So they've got an extra 2 sets of premolars on the lower jaw than cats, and an extra set of premolars on the upper jaw, and then an extra set of molars and 2 extra sets of molars on the bottom jaw. That makes up the higher number of teeth, so 42 in your canids, which would be the dog family. But you can see how they're kind of arranged there. Why that is, like I say, I have no idea. It's not like they have a different diet. They eat pretty much the same thing as what cats do. I always laugh with dogs. It's quite typical to see what we just saw now, is the slow waking up. So one member gets up, pandemonium, chaos. They run around, they chase each other, then they lie back down again and sleep for a while, and then again an adult will get up, approach another adult, and then that whole process starts again. Eventually, though, that will be kind of the waking up procedure, and then they'll just start running from there. All right, well, we'll sit with these guys and we'll wait and see what happens. In the meantime, though, talking about parasites and things, let's send you across to Kyle, who I believe is looking at an insect.
Well, we cannot get over the activity of these amazing wasps. These females working extremely hard to ensure the next generation has exactly what they need and more to successfully come out and start this cycle all over again. Wattled starlings passing over us, and you can see the coloration of the soil where there's a discolorization. So you see there's darker soil and then there's lighter soil. That darker soil is all from the activity of these wasps excavating and making these pre-made burrow or nest systems in which they will bring back flying. They actually physically go into a tree, hunt a caterpillar, sting it, and then physically carry this little caterpillar under their body to this provisioned nest site, where they quickly bury it, because you can see there's quite a lot of wasps, and as we've been watching over the past few days, there's quite a lot that actually want to steal the prized item away. So they've got to quickly go into this provision burrow, and then you can see some of them actually taking bits of dung and little stones and actually physically blocking the entrance to this provision burrow. And obviously on the caterpillar is paralyzed. So that means it's just laying in this dark, cool environment, and then on it would be a little egg which is laid by one of these females. And once that little grub hatches, the larva will actually feed off this provisioned food. And then inside there it will spin a cocoon and then pupate. So that means it's basically changing its form, and then will actively hatch as an adult, just like you're seeing now, to start that cycle all over again. But just the sheer drive that the female sex has to ensure the safety of the next generation is just something that is absolutely mind-boggling, because it's really not benefiting them right now, but instinctively they just cannot stop. They need to provision and provide for this little one that they will never ever see. So the importance of caterpillars right now, obviously being the main source of food for these little grubs when they hatch. Without the caterpillars, we wouldn't have such a hive of activity of these thread-waisted wasps right now. So not only munching on vegetation, but also becoming a very important source of food for insects like this here, but then also birds and small mammals. And they're quite aggressive. If I had to walk up there, you would find that quite a lot of them would instantaneously rise up and then actually progress forward towards me to meet me head on. And obviously having a stinger, I definitely want to watch my distance, because they can sting you, and they can sting you multiple times, which is not comfortable. But what a marvelous sight right now, and something so special to see this activity of these thread-waisted wasps. Well, while we enjoy these thread-waisted wasps, we'll see you in a little bit. We've got something quite special to show you, but we're going to send you over to a little bit of buffalo activity for the meantime being.
Welcome back to the watering hole once again. These buffalo, just like we suspected, actually came down to drink, and they have had quite a quick drink. They are all but finished. There's one last one that's at the watering hole having a drink now. The last female, there's a female, a bull and a calf. The bull's in the middle, female on the right and calf on the left. We know it's a calf because it's quite a lot smaller, but also besides the size difference, there is, if you have a look at its horns, they are still quite vertical. They haven't quite filled out. Glenn, if you pan across to that male, the horns are much more curled, and then these rhino are coming right up towards us here. They're probably less than 10 meters away from the vehicle. They're right in front of us. And very special to see rhino this close. Wow, magical sight here. They're just coming across to the side now. Special animals to see up close and personal like this on a live safari with us this afternoon. They had a little drink earlier, these two individuals, and I think it looks like they might be going, no, they're not happy with the wildebeest, the buffalo being here. So they're moving towards them a little bit, just ushering them off back to the rest of the herd. And then the zebra, who were with the buffalo earlier, are now also coming in down here. They all followed along the same game path, and they appear to be walking towards this watering hole as well. So maybe we'll get lucky. There's quite a lot of them, probably more than 20, I would say, at least. And they're also going to look like come down to drink now. Zebra are, oh, these rhino and buffalo are getting quite close. No, out of the way of the buffalo. All about size difference. This is a rather large buffalo bull. We are going to cross to Djuma quickly. I believe they have something really exciting happening for you there. We're going to hang out here though, and we'll be here when the zebra get down to the water.
We're bumbling along to the hyena den, and here we found Tswalu. Now they are. Look at that face. She just thought that she would look at you to introduce herself. But some very, very interesting things are going on. There is a herd of impala very, very close to us. So that's why we're quite far away from her. There are the impalas. She's basically sitting with the portion of her butt on the road. We were busy bubbling along, and there she is. There's lots of lambs in the herd, and this is a patience game. She's hunting. Some of the impala are even sitting down now. This is, I don't even want to say it, but easy pickings. Hope she gets a meal. I knew finding the elephant at the beginning of the day would be, or beginning of the drive would be good luck. Now I'm just excited to see what happens here. There's so many lambs in this herd close by, and so many of them sacrifice their lives to feed the predators that we know and love. Of course, we know and love the herbivores too. And there's appreciation on both sides here for whatever happens next. That was strange. Some of the impala just ran, but it wasn't Tswalu that gave herself away. Something else spooked them. No alarming or anything like that. There was a gust of wind. Maybe a stray scent. Wafted their way. Now she'll wait till she's about 10 meters from them before she pounces. She's not going to waste time. At the moment, there's still a good 50 meters, about a little bit more. She might try her luck, even if she's 25 meters from them, just because there's lambs around. But with that little spook, majority of the lambs have moved. So her chances are dwindling. Such a different type of scenario to when we have wild dogs, which we did in this exact spot, excuse me, where they'd see the impalas and they'd start racing through. Here it's a game of patience, stealth, and the standoff can go on and on and on. We've just come across her, so I've got to call her in.
No problem, with the lock is still static.
It's been such a busy time out here, so I'll just take a moment to call her in. Stations have located Shududu, female leopard, on the junction of power lines and Vuyatela axis. She's hunting, static.
Position on left at
The impala is slowly moving away now, but she'll continue to creep up on them until the opportunity is just right, and we'll be there when that happens. For now, I'll send you over to Dev. He's at a waterhole. See what array of creatures he can see for you.
Okay, so these zebra have had a very quick drink. There are at least 20 of them, and big chase is happening on the right. These rhino have come down and are sleeping. Beautiful scenes. These zebra are now, it looks like they've got a little bit more energy after a nice drink of water. They're kicking up dust as they run across here. The wind's blowing towards us, so the dust is blowing straight into our eyes here. But the zebra now very quick to drink. That maybe took 5 minutes in total for all of them to have a drink. And they are looking quite energetic now. The youngsters are chasing each other around. Some of the adults are getting involved as well. And the calves or the foals rather, are doing their best to stay out of the way. Zebra can be the reason, Mike, that zebras are always in groups is they are one of the animals that use the herd strategy to stay safe and look after each other. So a male zebra, the dominant male, will have a harem of females, and this can be anything from one up to a great number, depending how successful and how strong he is. And they do stay in herds like this for a couple of reasons, but one of the most important ones for them is that there are many eyes and many ears. So the more eyes and ears you have, the more likely you are going to be able to spot predators coming in before they get close enough to hunt, and the more chance they have at surviving. So this big herd of zebra will have a good chance of spotting a lion from bit more of a distance than perhaps one or two. And that's a very similar reason to the reason why other animals hang out in herds. Other animals like impala, Ngala, buffalo, they all use the herd to keep themselves more safe and protect themselves more than they would be able to do on their own. The rhino are fast asleep now. They're lying down on the ground. The zebra don't seem to be bothering them too much. They're quite happy just to be lying here. And after this hot day, a little foal's now spurring the chase, running around. And the zebra are now slowly moving off in the same direction they came. So they know where the water is in this area. And in the later afternoon have slowly been moving in this direction. They're now quite quickly moving away. So quite a few animals are quite nervous around watering holes. The zebra are no exception to that rule.
Welcome back, everybody. Now, with the sun starting to get a little bit lower in the sky, the light is really beautiful. And I'm going to take these next few moments to keep quiet and just listen. We did have a Sabota lark that was calling. If it doesn't call or it's flown away, just take this time to listen. Really is a lovely scene and setting this afternoon, and looks like it's going to be a beautiful sunset here at Ngala. I might try and find a good spot to watch it go down at some point, unless something else really interesting grabs our attention. I'm going to be making my way towards a watering hole as well, our biggest, and try and see if there's anything that's coming down there this afternoon, and something that might try and interest us this afternoon.
Well, welcome back to Tswalu Kalahari. We were just appreciating all the bird life and the sounds, and what a beautiful setting we got over here of the sun reaching down to the western sections. And we were watching a pair of birds very closely, and look what we found. So it might not look like much, but that is exactly what the birds want. You can see almost in the central part of the screen there'll be a shallow depression, and those little shiny objects are not stones but are eggs. Those are 4 little blacksmith lapwing eggs, and this is where these birds would create this shallow depression totally exposed. And I mean, it's remarkable. I mean, those eggs are maybe 5-6 meters away from the water. And that is typically where these birds like to create these nests. Obviously, the tangled mess, all the debris and sticks and twigs and dung droppings, that is perfect for these birds' nests because their eggs are cryptically colored. So if I had to hold the egg in my hand, it would have this light, very light chocolate uniform color across the egg with these very dark speckles all over the eggs, and that allows that egg to just blend into this mess, especially with that of the dung that's been dropped here by antelope. And if you think about these little birds hatching, it's remarkable. I mean, they are tiny little things when they hatch, and obviously between now and then is a very tricky period. So between 20 odd and 30 odd days it will take for incubation to be complete. But in this period, these parents are very, very aggressive. If I had to walk there, those parents would dive bomb me and just try everything in their ability to ward me away from that nest. But what a special treat. We've also done an update. We just checked on our nest, the glossy starling nest. We still have 3 beautiful little blue eggs inside there. And it makes my heart so happy that nothing has happened to them. But we obviously want nothing happen to them. But if something happens to them, that is just the way of the world in this system. But what a fantastic find that we have with these little lapwing eggs. And hopefully we can get a bit closer. Obviously, sensitivity is a very important thing. We don't want to disturb these birds in any manner. And so maybe we'll find a way that we can creep the car around and we can get a better look at how well camouflaged those eggs are. There's quite a lot of uniform dark grey clouds moving from the southwestern corner, and it feels like the wind direction is actually pulling the stuff in from the southwest of Tswalu. And this is typical of rain here, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we receive even more rain this evening. There's the parent on the left there. Look there. You see on the left hand side the Sisyphus. Yeah. Okay, zoom in there. Zoom in. And then just go to the left. So the parent is slowly coming back here. Obviously, we're a good distance away where we're not disturbing this beautiful bird. And there's the parent just scoping us out. What are we doing? So with birds breeding like this, obviously their nests are very unique. And then hopefully we can share this with you folks. But we're going to send you quickly over to TRISHALA, where she's got a hunting leopard.
Tswalu has now slinked around. Is looking for cover, keeping very low. Look at the shoulder blades. Shoulder blades above the head. As she tries to keep very, very, very inconspicuous. Not trying to draw any attention to herself. Now she's using the termite mound for cover. Hello, I see you. At the moment, we're in a good position. She's got a lot of space. She's got a lot of cover between her and the impala herd. And the grass is very tall. So everything is working in her favor, unfortunately, except for the wind. But if she plays her cards right, she may not be noticeable. So I'm not going to do too much moving. We'll just take the visuals we can get, because if there is a hunt, we'll be in a good position. The impalas are a little alert, but definitely not very much. I don't think they suspect that there's a leopard around at all. I think they might have caught a wolf, but that is it. Some of the impalas are grazing. There's so many lambs around in that little herd too. Playing and all of that. They're not even looking in this direction sometimes. always exciting to see them. And the potential is the most exciting part. What could we see her do today? Did you see that nose through the silver cluster leaves? This could take hours, just so you're aware. So it's not something that happens very quickly. It may take her 20 minutes to get from one place of cover to another. She's got a few good bits, and she's got to get really close before she can pounce. She does look like she's serious and she means business, though. Guitarist, you say the suspense is killing us. It's going to last a lot longer. Or maybe not, because some individuals of the herd are moving closer, so that's what she'll be counting on too. Them being so unaware of her that they'll start to move towards her unknowingly, and that'll close that gap. She's just looking to constantly close that gap. But it is very suspenseful, isn't it, guitarist? Sitting here in silence. Almost, except for me talking. It's also a strange feeling to know that within the next hour, few hours, minutes, we don't know, life may end. It really is nature's ultimate stage. I hope that she'll manage to hunt at least by the end of the drive. I've sat with these leopard hunts for long times. Sometimes you'll leave the sighting an hour later. You've already sat there for 3 hours. An hour later, you'll hear that it's been called in that the leopard has a kill. They take their time and they calculate it. She's really going to make sure she's close and she's patient before she makes a kill. But Tristan's wild dogs, they're up and about. Oh no! A hyena has come, which is probably going to spoil her. She do this kill. She do this attempt here. But let me send you over to Tristan and his wild dogs. I'm sure there's hyenas around him too.
Well, hyena came here too and got a rather rude awakening as it was moving through the bush. All these dogs came flying at it and it just went running off with its bum kind of touching the ground, much like that little wild dog shuffle that we saw earlier. But you can see the dogs are up. It's now time to, I think, to get going. I'm sure we're going to see adults starting to move. They've been quite wary. I think with the wind that's blowing, there's been a lot of little kind of alarm calls that they let off, which is like a low growling grunt. And so I wonder if there isn't maybe something else around. I know Hukamuri is on Arathusa, so there shouldn't be any other leopard here, although Tingana can appear out of nowhere, and we know Kara can sometimes come into this area too. But the dogs seem quite aware of something around them. There they go trotting. I wouldn't be surprised if they go up this way and they keep going north. It's very possible that maybe, just maybe, they run into where TRISHALA is with Shadulu. Or they found themselves something behind there. I don't know, they're searching behind a bush there. There's Franklins that have been alarm calling the whole time that we've been sitting here. It's what they're listening to at the moment. I'm just going to go roll back quickly just to see what's in that bush, because they're all very, very curious of something that side. No, nothing there that I can see. Maybe they're just trying to see if there's any signs of impalas or something like that that potentially they would be able to hunt. The whole kind of pack is just spread and all facing towards where those francolins are alarm calling at the moment. You see how they're lifting their heads to the wind? So they're trying to check the kind of scents that are blowing towards them. Joy, because most animals out here have worms in them. If you think of something like pork, if you don't cook pork, you can get worms from it as well. It's not anything to do with how fresh it is. Worms are often naturally occurring in wildlife, and that's basically due to the fact that they drink very dirty water, and they eat all over the place. There's nothing that's washed, it's nothing that's cleaned, so they pick up worms pretty easily from that, and a lot of it is from what they, the meat that they eat, obviously, with these guys, but worms can also come from, all kinds of random places, but it's because nothing is cleaned, nothing is kind of given antibiotics, nothing is made sure that it's dewormed, so it's just a natural part of their life. It's a very slow start today for our doggies. They're not quite sure of where they want to go or how quickly they want to get there. These francolins are definitely unhappy about something, that's for sure. Because they're still calling now. How cool is this, though, to have the whole pack just coming across this open clearing, and slowly for a change. Generally they're in a rush, but today you can see they're just slowly kind of ambling their way along, taking it very easy as they go, which is cool. Now the dog that I was saying is the one that we follow all the time, is the fourth dog from the front. You'll see it's the one that's got the kind of saddle, it's like a little black saddle that it's got. It's the one that we've known for quite a long time. There it is there. You see that little kind of black half circle in the middle of the back. It's crazy to think that I've actually touched that wild dog, which a lot of people might be wondering why, but we put the collar on that dog and took the collar off of it. I was saying earlier, I've been fortunate enough to have friends within the wild dog research world, and that means that we've done a lot of work with dogs in terms of putting collars on and taking them off, and that was one of the dogs that we did many moons ago. I think it was in 2017 was when we put it on. We took it off in 2019. I think it was 2018, 2019 we took it off, something like that. Can't really remember. But it's an awkward angle for Gert, so I'm just going to reposition ourselves so that Gert doesn't have to worry so much about kind of filming behind him. Also, the dogs are just moving slowly. I think they too are quite wary of something here. I think they also a bit nervous of maybe that there's another predator around with these francolins alarm calling the way that they are. If it's something like a leopard, well, they'll soon find it and chase it up a tree. But obviously they've got to be careful because they don't know if it's lions, it could be hyena, it could be, other dogs, could be even a bird of prey that's causing the francolins to be upset. But the dogs don't know that, so they're just going very, very slowly in order to make sure that they don't have to run into something and get themselves hurt. But there we go, it's quite nice with them kind of just coming down across the open clearing. It's always nice when you get a little clearing like this so you can actually see the kind of way that they move. Awesome, isn't it? To think that there's so few of these guys left is just such a shame, and also special for us. Anyway, it sounds like Trishala's got hyenas going towards Shadulu, so let's send you across to her.
There is Djuma, and there is Shadulu. Djuma came here, pretty much gave Shadulu away and then walked off. How could you, Djuma? And there's 1 or 2 alarm calls, and then that was it. But then the herd, a few are still alert, but the rest of them have their heads down. So she may be lucky still. talking about the impala lambs, not easy pickings they are at the moment. Keeping all our predators well fed. Yeah, the herd of impalas seems to have relaxed substantially now. The one that was still staring in this direction has also turned around. When they move, that's her opportunity to move too. Alas, she may take one of our impala lambs. But Dev has some warthog babies. Hopefully will not be taken because they're very, very cute.
Coming back to Phinda, we've got a similar scene, I suppose, to Trish happening here, as well as impala lambing at this time of year. And right here, we've stumbled across 4 little piglets that are on their own. They are doing their best to camouflage themselves by hiding in the grass here. You can see quite hard to see. They're on the verge of the road, so that's why we've got this kind of a cross-section view into their little hiding place here. And unfortunately, we arrived and there were no adults around here to be seen. Now, that's quite unusual for piglets like this to leave their mother for any reason. So we can only assume that something has happened to her. The lions on Phinda are already warthog, so maybe something like that happened. But these piglets now seem to be all alone, which is really, really quite sad. So we are sitting here with them. Fortunately for these 4, they do still have a chance at life. And warthogs are known to adopt other warthogs. So should one mother with piglets, should something happen to her, and another mother that's also suckling piglets find these 4, I'm sure she will adopt them and take them on. So fingers crossed that something like that happens. But for now, they are tucked away in this grass. You can see extremely well camouflaged, and in this beautiful late afternoon light. So they're just going to spend some time here. You can see the little tufts on the side of their head and the little bits of fur sticking out. And the head that's on top, you can even see a tiny little tusk coming out of the mouth. So these 4 of... Yeah, so Fitz, it is unfortunate for these little piglets that has happened. It is the nature of life and wild in the bush here. And we were actually extremely lucky to stumble upon these 4. Like I said, had they been another 30 centimeters off the road here, there's absolutely no chance we would have seen them. But we just managed to spot a little head sticking out as we were coming past here. And yeah, it is unfortunate, but oh, there's a little head popping up. We'll cross our fingers that another female that's got piglets of a similar age will be moving through this kind of area in the next little while. There have been a number of mothers with piglets that I've seen already this year, They've kind of started birthing in the last 2 weeks or so, I'd say. So there are quite a number of them around, so there is a chance that these piglets will be adopted, which is quite sweet. Maybe next time we see them, there'll be a mother who has got 8 piglets. We are going to be moving on from these little piglets. They're going to lie down in the grass here and do their best to hide away for the next while. Kyle has got some eggs also tucked away, maybe in more plain sight than these little piglets.
Well, we have just been sitting nice and still this side, just to allow the parents the time to show them that we mean absolutely no threat. And birds have the ability, I've watched many nests, and over a period, they do become relaxed with your parents, with your presence. And I mean, those eggs are just remarkable. You on them there? So the parent just peering over, both parents actually, they're now just peering over the little berm or little wall. And this little nest would be lined with a few little items like vegetation. But the main ability and how these eggs will survive is obviously the cryptic coloration and obviously the help of these devoted parents. A bit of preening going on. Adjusting and realigning those feathers and just dislodging anything. A lot of wattled starlings. Dislodging anything that you might have picked up from your day's activity. And then the little grebe just in the background there. How fantastic is that? You can see from the light now that uniform cloud is now pulled over us entirely. And it's providing much needed shade, and that just is a brilliant thing for the water that reached the land last night. Obviously that ensures less evaporation would be taking place. And looking at the development, especially south of us there, we might get lucky with some more rain this evening. Can never complain about too much water, but those eggs are just mind-boggling. That's it. You can see them even better now. So you can see the color quite clearly there. And I mean, in amongst of all those droppings, they actually look like droppings themselves. So birds that breed like this or nest like this on the ground with hardly no nest itself, when these eggs eventually hatch after about 26 to about 30 days, these young will be in a very advanced physical state. So they would have a little coating of feathers, which we refer to as downs. They would have fairly developed legs, so they can walk around. Their eyes will be open, so they can get about and do everything that they need to. Unlike a bird which is bound into a nest like those glossy starlings. Those glossy starlings, when they hatch, would be naked, eyes closed, no feathers, totally helpless, and rely on the parents for everything. Whereas in these little guys, are very, very lucky. Well, in a sense, because obviously then they're exposed, but they've got the parents which are very devoted even after hatching. And you'll find that this clutch would actually hatch almost together. These little eggs will hatch almost within a day or two. And only thereafter will these little ones start moving off the actual nest site. Obviously just having a day or two to adjust into this big and scary world. More starlings coming through. There's a lot of bird activity. These wattled starlings are coming through in we need to move. They're all busy bathing here. They're just behind us here. They're just busy bathing. Yeah, Tswalu, that's a really cool sight. I mean, there's a lot of activity. Folks, I just want to ask you if you can hang on for us. We're going to just adjust the vehicle very quickly because there's something quite incredible happening behind us. Take a look at this.
So on the corner here, all these wattled starlings are busy doing a late afternoon bathe. And there's, oh, there they go. The hardy-dart scared them off. That's okay, they're all in the tree. Look at this. Yeah, they come back down. Hive of activity right now. Wow. I've never seen so many wattled starlings on Tswalu. Look at that, folks. Wow. So you can see where they get the name from, wattled starlings. You can see the individuals with those bright yellow masks. Those are males, and if you look very carefully, there's a physical wattle that is hanging from the underside of the throat or just below the bottom mandible. But look at that. Who doesn't like a bath to feel nice and clean before bed? And obviously very important behavior before you go out and find a secure spot for the evening. Unbelievable. Wow. So the male is the one with the very bright colors, and then you'll have females and juveniles mixed in with this bathing flock. And you can see each individual doing almost exactly the same moves or same process in which they bathe. So actually dipping the head in the water and then running the water over their back and then quickly shaking their feathers and their wings just to run all that water through and just dislodging anything. And now they'll go up into a perched position and work their feathers with their beaks. Whoa, look at them. Wow. Here comes the next little wave. Oh, just out of sight for us there. That's okay. You can see when one bird goes down, that's almost an indication for the other ones that they know it's safe almost. Obviously having multiple individuals with a flock like this is really safety in numbers, but you can see as soon as one bird comes down, then they all just descend. Oh, sorry folks, from one thing to another, Glennett's back on the nest. She's back on the nest there, look there. Oh, whoa! Folks, take a look at this. She has now decided that she would come back to the nest. Obviously, she feels very comfortable with us on this side for some reason. But look how well tucked up she is over there. And you can see just to the left-hand side of the frame, the other individual, the partner, doing a bit of feeding, but also watching, keeping guard. And I have been nagged a lot by these birds. They are very aggressive and they will not hesitate to come down with claws and wings to deter you away from this very, very important little site. They'll take turns like that. So one individual, one partner would sit on the eggs and incubate them. Obviously, incubation is a very important process where they have to physically regulate the temperature of those eggs. And then you'll even find some birds have special little patches, bare patches, because skin transfers heat a lot more effectively than if you had a medium such as feathers. So they have something called a brood patch. But having 4 eggs like that, that individual is just ensuring that all of their feathers are splayed over the eggs to ensure ensure uniform insulation on those beautiful little individuals. It's really been a birding afternoon for us. Wow, how special. All right, well, what we're going to do now is we're going to just keep a watchful eye out here, but we're going to send you over to TRISHALA and a leopard.
Kyle loves a bit of birding. That's an understatement. Kyle loves birds. So enthusiastic about them. It's infectious. Shadulu has not moved an inch. Her focus has waned, in my opinion, and her interest. The impalas are out of sight at the moment. For us, at least. And while I hope that she will get lucky, the possibility of her grabbing a meal before show ends is becoming lower and lower. There was one close call, and there was an impala lamb bounding about and came out into the open onto the road to our east. And then I thought, ooh. But then it just kept on going, and she didn't even flinch. See, that would be a waste. Because if she ran with the lamb, everyone would see her. It's too far a run. And she would be seen, her cover would be blown, and all of this time she would have sat and watched them for nothing. So she's going to be very, very careful. Every time I think that she's going to move, she just shuffles in her spot. She's still gazing in the direction of the impalas, but no movement yet. Very, very, very exciting. But also realize that we might not see anything happen. But that's how it is out here in the bush. You never know. Imagine how many failed hunts there are. We only see a small percentage of both the failed and the successful ones. See? That's what I mean. Every time she gets up, I think that she's about to move. But no, she just shuffles her bottom and readjusts herself in her spot. It's nice. Oh, why, you just too cultured, aren't you? She's just crossed over her paws, sitting very prettily, Shadulu on a Shadulu. If you didn't know, Shadulu means termite mound in Shangaan. Because that's where she likes to rest. Clearly, she's showing us that.
Join our Explorers program so we can keep on sharing nature with the world. For a monthly subscription, you will have the opportunity to win fantastic WildEarth expeditions, have access to an animal identification app, receive weekly highlights from our shows, and much more. All the money will go to keeping these live safaris on air, which in turn connects a global population with nature. WildEarth is launching our brand new Explorer program with an opportunity to win a very special WildEarth expedition. The lucky winner will get a behind-the-scenes WildEarth experience at the magnificent and beyond Ngala Tainted Safari Camp. The prize includes a 3-night stay for you and a friend with a chance to sleep out in the unique Ngala treehouse. Become a WildEarth explorer and stand a chance to win this and many other prizes. Terms and conditions apply.
My name is Lauren, and I'm currently working in Djuma Private Game Reserve here in South Africa. I love answering your questions during the live safaris. It's my favorite part. It feels like you're on the vehicle with me, and I'm able to teach you exactly what you want to know. If you want to ask a question on WildEarth, then you need to register on our website. Once registered, you must go to the live safari page and ask your question below the live feed.
Hello, boy. You are a monster. And he's coming right up to us. Hello, boy. Oh, settle down. Settle down. He is very, very close. He's pushing his trunk against the car. You can feel the car moving. Hey, 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 hey. Stop that.
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth daily.
Welcome back, everybody. Now, we've actually found quite a special herd of elephants. There's a brand new little baby. If you look very carefully below that mom's trunk, it's there. I'm going to spend a little bit of time just listening. It might even be a couple of days, if not a few weeks. Jack, how much do elephants weigh when they're born? They can weigh up to about 100 kilos. And it's very, very heavy. I mean, have a look at this little one. I mean, right up on it, you can see Mom's trunk just to the left of it. It's tiny. It's kind of wobbly on its feet. Hasn't got a clue how to use its trunk yet. And staying very, very close to Mom. Its ears, so it hasn't even got control of its ears really yet. They're kind of just flapping as it runs away. I wonder... Let's try and see if we can have one more look here. Reverse back a little bit. Mom might be going back to the herd. Okay, let's stop and have a quick look. That might have been at us. And if it is, mom will be super protective at a young age with a young calf like that. And walk around that termite mound and see what her reaction is towards us. If it is ear flapping and kind of telling us to go away, I probably will. I don't want to put any unnecessary pressure on her. She's got enough pressure as it is trying to look after that little one and protect it. She may even just go behind that mound and put her own distance between us. But you can see there's the rest of the herd is also around. I mean, they'll have the protection in numbers, and all the elephants, particularly when giving birth. And I'm sure this female, here she comes. There goes the little one. Look at it. Look how big its ears are. When this little baby was born, and geez, it could have been up to about a week ago that it was born, there would have been a huge celebration within this herd. But I mean, with that pride of lions that we were with earlier, if that little baby ventures too far away from mom, it might be a potential prey for that herd. So I'm probably going to keep going, let this mom and her baby continue going. I'm going to send you back to Djuma with TRISHALA and her leopard. I really hope it's having better luck on the hunt.
Luckily, we've had an opportunity to move a little bit closer to her as the impalas moved further and further away. Still giving her ample space if she suddenly decides she wants to go for this impala. At least we can get a good look at her. How beautiful with that sky. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. Even if the suspense has fallen away, that's still a beautiful scene. Absolutely stunning scene. This will be a good place to look tomorrow morning because I think she will strike it hot tonight. Get a kill, maybe not right away, maybe not even the next couple hours, but tonight she will, I think. And there are plenty of good marulas out here near power lines, Western Quarantine. And it's a band of Djuma she really, really enjoys walking. Rebecca's Western Quarantine, Aubrey's Riatella Access. It's an area she really, really likes. Just to the west of the central part of Djuma. I think she looks fabulous in front of the yellow flowers of the African wattle. Yes, that's what we like to see. Morgan, you'd like to know how old Shadula is? Shadula is about 6 years old. She was born in October of 2014. And she's had 2 litters. The latest one didn't survive. The last one was the litter that Kara is from, but Kara had another litter mate who didn't make it. So she's reared 1 cub successfully. beautiful. With the backdrops of the trees and the sky. It's still very cloudy, so there's this grey-blue color to the clouds, and then a pink peach tinge. So Corky or Porky, you'd like to know how close she'll have to be before she'll strike. Generally 10 to 15 meters. Ideally 5 meters, because then she's sure that she's not going to miss. But for her to get into 5 meters of a herd animal without alarming somebody is very difficult. So generally it's about 10 to 15 meters. Remember, this is their tactic. Their whole species relies on stealth. The ability to ambush, be silent up until that point of absolute annihilation. Oh, beautiful. I feel a little bit bad for her. It's so frustrating to watch leopard hunts, although, you know, obviously we're not leopards, so it's not like we can make better decisions than they can. But sometimes I find a gap, or I notice what I think is a gap, for her to move a little bit or even make the move. And then she doesn't, and then I get frustrated. It's like watching your favorite sports team play, and then they make a mistake, so they should have done this and could have done that. Sit here getting all worked up about something that has absolutely nothing to do with our lives and everything to do with hers. So she knows what's best. Having done this for 6 years, and obviously being good at it, otherwise she wouldn't be here today. She keeps turning back because there are a few males, impala rams, far behind her. Steph, you say such a beauty? She absolutely is. They all are. Have you ever seen an ugly leopard? I haven't. She can obviously see something I can't. I know there's, like I said, the impala rams. Oh. They're moving a little bit closer, but not close enough. This looks like she's going to make a move to her next bit of cover. Her next bit of cover would be, firstly, there's lots of long grass, so she'd probably be successful getting to the big, bushy African wattle that's a little to the west of us. From there, she just need to wait for them to come closer. There's the African wattle on the right of your screen there. The bush that's close to the ground. From there, she just waits and they slowly move this way. She'll be able to get one of those impalas. Oh, the suspense is creeping back, isn't it? Thought it was going to be all chilled. Now it's suspenseful again. So it took 40 minutes for her to make a tiny bit of a move. 40 minutes from now, perhaps she'll move to the wattle. The fish is back in focus. So both herds of impala are completely unaware of her. That is exactly how she'd want it. Except when you have them on opposite sides of you, east and west, decisions can be difficult. But I guess it's like placing 2 bets for the price of 1. If she focuses her attention over on this herd, maybe she'll kind of make up or fill up some time and the other herd will move towards her. Who knows? Either way, it doubles the chances of it playing into her paws. She's not the only spotty one with paws we have today. Dev has a leopard for you too. Let's go over and see.
Welcome back to Phinda, everyone. We've just caught up with a beautiful female leopard. She, I think, is going to come around the side of this bush now. Glenn, you get her there. She's walking around and scent marking, and we just watched her scent mark up against quite a large tree about a minute ago, and we heard some impala alarm calling as well a little bit earlier, and she was trying to hunt them. So she's very much out and about. It's cooling down beautifully now, and she's actually walking up towards the top of a beautiful lookout spot. It's a beautiful kind of little koppie or mountain top that we've got here, and she's wandering now really close to the top of this lookout. We've lost view for now, so I'm just going to have to move around and keep following her as she moves through the bush here. I think we're going to try go around and get in front of her. Oh, I can see her there. No. We're going to try the other way rather. She's changed direction slightly. It's quite rocky here, so you are going to have to bear with us while we bumble along here. Up high on these side of these small little mountains, a lot of the topsoil is washed away, and it's left these big boulders that we are going to have to negotiate now. We're going to try our best not to lose sight of her, because once losing sight of a leopard can be really tricky to relocate them. She is up against that tree there now. You can see her rubbing her face. Wow, that's beautiful. That's so cool. So she's got scent glands in her on the side of her face, up in her whiskers. She's going to turn around now. Her tail's up and scent marking, so she's spraying that tree and marking her territory. Really rubbing up against. It's a beautiful tree as well. Oh, that is really a magnificent sight. We've got a beautiful view. The sun set 5 minutes ago behind us here. And this leopard, oh, she's with her left paw clawed up in the tree now as well. And you can see that tree there blowing in the wind. So I think she's going to spray it again, and she's rubbing her tail along the branches. She's now moving once again, so we're going to have to reposition again. I think she looks like she might be going over the ridge a little bit here. I see some big rocks in front of me. Oh, no. Maybe coming our side. I think we're going to have to move around here. There are a couple of boulders to negotiate. Like that one over there. No. Okay, wait. She's coming back towards us. I think we might be all right over here. She's rubbing her back legs through, or her back feet rather, through her scent where she is now. She's just up there on the ridge. So she's probably about 20 meters away from us now. Very relaxed and moving through this mountainous environment very, very happily. Leopards are extremely adaptable to all sorts of different environments, mountains being one of them. I can't see her. Can you still see her, Glenn? Okay, let's move a little bit more forward. No, there's a boulder. Oh, she's seen something. Sorry, I missed that question. Would you mind going again with it, please? Afternoon, Peter. So this is a cheetah. I mean a leopard, not a cheetah. Sorry, my mind's focusing on trying not to drive over the biggest rocks here and stumps. That was quite a big one that we just went over right now. I'm not sure we're going to be able to stay with her. So cheetah don't often come up onto the side of these koppies like this in the more mountainous areas. We find them more often in the open plains and also in woodlands, but not quite as thick as this. I have a feeling this might be the end of our journey right here. She's kind of gone across over the ridge here, and I don't know if you can see, there's some really large boulders just on our side here. There's this ridge line on the left, on my left rather, and she was up on a rock on top there, and then she just scent marked one last time and jumped off to go down the other side. For us to get around, we're going to have to go back out the way we came in, and there's a road about 500 or 600 meters that side. And we'll go around. We're definitely going to do that and see if we can see our leopard again on the other side. It'll be really special if we can find her again. Fingers crossed. But for now, let's go back to TRISHALA and the leopard that she's got.
Good luck, Dev. I hope that you will find your leopard again. My leopard is looking a little bit fed up by the time it's taking her to catch a meal. Of course, that's just my feeling. She's been doing this for a long time, and this is just how it goes. Waiting and waiting. But now she's turned direction, at least. Firmly towards the new herd that has made its way close to her. She most definitely would get a kill now. The herds are starting to basically congregate on quarantine, and to do that they need to pass her. Some have already passed her, the herds that she was watching earlier, but this herd, in order to get to quarantine, will need to pass her. And that is an excellent tactic. A lot more alert. Other herd is moving a little closer now with their lambs bringing up at the front of the herd. This is not a good idea. Impalas, irresponsible impala parents. Choices. This is like, you know, when someone says, oh, here are all these ice cream flavors. Choose one. What kind of a question is that? Where do you look? What do you choose? Don't you want to have a taste of them all? Before you choose, and then can you even choose then? Her attention is all over the place, like me at an ice cream stand. Do I want baby impala? Do I want adult impala? As soon as you think you've picked chocolate or herd to the west, cookies and cream calls your name. Herd to the east. Or pistachio. Dozing. Here comes another vehicle to join us. I think our best bet here is going to be that tomorrow morning we find her with a kill in a tree. Maybe we'll be lucky, but having seen these things play out before, I think tomorrow with a kill will be best. Or most likely. The impala lambs are playing like kids in a playground, not knowing that there could be somebody who could hurt them close by. They're bouncing about and running in circles and all sorts. Even some young males play fighting. Those are just perfect for her. Very much a waiting game, both for her, for all of you, and for us here in the vehicle, for all of us. I heard a comment, but I'm quite sure it's not what I heard, so I'll wait for it again. Ah, nice pose. Nice pose, Shadulu. That's what Neva says. A nice pose indeed. It's amazing how they can resemble your own house cat. The way that they behave, the poses that they choose, the way that they pounce. Spoiled for choice, this girl. I wonder if they ever actually get tired of taking lambs and try to avoid them and rather go for adults because the lambs mean that they have to eat too frequently. She's still a great distance from both of them, though, although the herd that was to the east is moving a little bit westish. So really what's happening is she's in the middle and the two herds on either side of her are both moving closer to her, almost as if she's being stalked. In fact, it couldn't be playing much better into a pause as it is right now. Properly dark now. It's going to work into her favor. The herd on the eastern side seems to coalescing into a larger and larger and larger herd. The one on the left is moving now a little bit north instead of towards her. While I thought that the herd in the west may have been best for her, the herd on the east, I was about to say the word on the street, the herd on the east seems to be more promising to her, for her this time. Just stunning, absolutely stunning.
Well, from a stunning leopard to stunning scenery, we're just going to appreciate the subtle sounds of the late afternoon and just enjoy the landscape for a few minutes with you folks. Well, that's very important while on game drive, just to stop, recenter yourself, and just appreciate all these subtle, beautiful sounds that the African bush has for us. Well, it was great to share that with you folks. I truly appreciate those moments.
Still doing much of the same. Quite sure this is not going to change in the next 7 minutes or so. So they will just watch and take in some evening sounds for a bit. See if anything changes. At least it wasn't on our vehicle. The dum that you heard. But brought it into our evening sounds and sights. Neil, you say it's dinner time. It's time for her to make a move. Certainly is. But she's got to get closer, or they've got to get closer to her, for her to be able to make that move successfully. But I'll tell her, Neil, that you're chanting her on. Neil says, come on. Get a move on. Well, I think that sets the tone for this hunt. This hunt has a hint of sleepy to it. But you know, just like that, she can be up and about and grab an impala. Well, let's changed our plans a little bit. We really wanted to spend some time at the hyena den. See if we could see June's youngster. But again, tomorrow morning, will be where we will be. And plans change all the time out here because we can't predict where the animal, or we can't know where the animals are. We can only find clues and make predictions based on our skill and mostly luck. So tomorrow morning, back to our initial plan, going to stake out the den, and maybe not, something else will come our way. Like her, we were zooming to the den. Bam, leopard bottom on the road. But that's half the fun, driving around and not knowing what is going to come out, what you're going to see around the next corner, the next road, whether your decision is going to be the difference between a leopard or not, something cool or not. That is the fun of safari. And thank you all for joining us on this safari. It's been an excellent one, but we'll see you in the morning. Have an awesome one. And thank you for all of your questions and your comments. Good night, everyone.
Well, the clouds are beginning to move on and the sun is rising to start a new day in Africa. And